Happy Friday. Oh, Fax is here. Yay. Guys, tap the screen, share the live. We're live on YouTube as well. If you haven't followed me on YouTube, it is A Girl Has No Name as well, spelled the same way. It's Friday. You know what? In a group chat, we were just talking, and I was saying, I'm good, but it's interesting, Trump is not even president, and every week seems longer than the next. I will say that. Doing this job, you never miss any of the news, so it's interest it's it's quite interesting just following the news every single second of every single day and understanding what's going on. But it's Friday. Fridays always feel good. It's like you're tired, but you've made it and tomorrow you get to sleep in. So that's good. How are you doing, Fax? Oh, I didn't notice you went off screen for a second. I actually
I'm getting some
remembered to.
wicked feedback.
Oh, you are.
Look, I'm gonna come right back.
Okay. I know it's not me.
There.
Hello.
I could hear you twice.
Oh no, I know you know what? That happened the first times I think people join TikTok Studio sometimes. That happened to Mandy too. And I know exactly what it sounds like. It's the most aggressive echo. You can't even think. It,
Seriously, I thought it was at like a Metallica concert. Like, what's going on here?
yeah, it's so horrible. Oh, and let me hold on. I put your Cash App and Venmo. Hold on.
Oh,
Tell
thank you.
me when it's hard and tell me if it's in the right place and I'm not covering up the box. Is that in the right place? And can you see
Um,
it? Just give it a second. It'll populate. I need to close this and reopen, and then I'll be able to tell. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Can you guys
yeah,
see?
looks
Yeah,
good.
it's hard. In TikTok Studio, it's harder to tell distances just because I'm looking at like both a laptop size and a mobile. So it's just hard to tell. Sometimes I cover up. That's correct, right? That's your Venmo and Cash App.
I'm getting that same thing again, Felice. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm getting that same double. I'll be right back.
Hmm. Let me make sure I don't have anything else connected.
It seems like every time I try to turn my camera on, it happens. So I'll just leave it off.
Really?
Every time the two times that I've tried to turn my camera on, it's happened. So
Then
for
it's
now,
probably
just
it's probably a TikTok Studio glitch.
yeah,
That's my
all good.
yeah. These things happen a lot on TikTok Studio, unfortunately. But they just did an update, a big update. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, so that could possibly be why. This is It's getting better though. I'll say that. Guys, we are live on YouTube as well. Follow me on YouTube. Next to Fax is his Venmo and Cash App.
Thank you.
Thank our guests for being here. Gift him. If you would like to support us, this is mine as well. A Girl Has No Name. It's the same on Venmo and Cash App. If you do tip us that way, whatever the message says, if it's a question, comment, dad joke, whatever the case may be, we will read it aloud on the show and that is much appreciated. It's our preferred way of support, but I also love gifts because my ADHD loves pretty colors. So we appreciate you guys supporting us however you can. We also have subscription goals. You can subscribe to Fax as well through you just click on him, follow him, subscribe as well through his profile. I have a subscription goal today. Subscriptions are great for creators because it's a way to actually know that you have monthly income coming in, and we appreciate it so very much. How's your Friday going, Fax? I'm glad capitalism didn't prevent you from being here.
Usually, I don't schedule capitalism on Friday, but when you're self-employed, you go where they tell you to go sometimes, right?
Amen.
This morning's show was really wild, Felice. I gotta say, we were asking the question, "Why are MAGA men so soft and angry?" And we had lots of people proving the exact prompt.
Is that what your show title was? I am so sad
Yes.
I missed that. Oh my gosh. Next time we do something, I bet you had a lot of requests.
It was interesting. We didn't even get to everybody after 4 hours. It was crazy.
So Simon
It
said
was.
that live was nuts, Max. What?
It
So
was
just out of
nuts.
curiosity, like what were some of the answers? What were people saying?
So the prompt was, "Why is MAGA so soft and angry?" So I had at least a half dozen people, MAGA men, come into the box being all emotional, criticizing me for having the soft and angry prompt. I think that was the point.
They don't. I know they don't. They don't. It's like exactly the reaction you expect. They don't understand. It's like they give you exactly what.
Yeah, I was
Oh, bless
challenged to
them.
fight a half dozen. I was challenged to fight a half dozen times. What else from
Are
the?
you
Yeah, it
serious?
was crazy. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
You
yep,
were challenged a physical
yeah,
fight? Yeah,
yep,
you're really disproving the point there. And they don't understand
exactly.
because in the patriarch, they think aggression, that is also they don't understand anger is an emotion. Like when someone calls you emotional, hey, men are the most emotional. Like men don't recognize aggression and fighting and anger as emotional. It is.
Right.
Those are
Yeah, I mean,
also emotions, men.
exactly, exactly. Just trying to unpack that a little bit, as is the case, as you do a lot. Try to force them to answer some questions, and that became even more triggering. Triggering. So, point proven. Let's put it that way.
Can we get at least can everyone share the live 5 times? Also, guys, keep tapping the screen. The goal is to get to 300,000 likes like we did yesterday. I know we're going through clips and things like that, but please keep tapping the screen. That's how you can support me. I can tell you like our engagement has been much better. It's hard to index in the algorithm without engagement and get new people in here. So I so appreciate the last 2 lives and how much you guys have tapped the screen. Keep up the good work. Okay, so I want to just touch on this first. And again, I found an amazing clip I want to play after this. But what this came out, and I said to you, I figured you were probably asleep when I sent this to you last night, but I was just so angry because this is what happened, you guys. Campaign finance reports, they come out months later. And we said we won't know for sure what Elon Musk has truly done for Trump for months until the quarterly campaign finance reports come out. And they came out last night.
Yeah, 270 plus million. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
And, it comes to mind. I remember, guys, tap the screen, share the live. Let's get some more people. And I remember specifically because I was reading so much around when he started doing the whole, what was it in Pennsylvania? Because a lot of this was in Pennsylvania. He
Oh yeah,
was
the
really
million
focused. Yeah,
the million
that's exactly.
bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
He was, the $1 million giveaway that he was like, "Oh, it's not for the Republican Party. We're just like registering people for like some sort of sweepstakes or something." I mean, I don't even know. But I remember someone said, "Hey, there's rumors that you're giving Trump $45 million a month through your PAC." And he was like, "I would never do that." Turns
Yeah,
out it was more.
yeah.
Turns out it was more, and that's what I said, and that's the plan. Remember, I mean, it was no mistake. He waited till the last quarter of the election when the campaign finance reports weren't going to come out till literally after the fact, and just started aggressively throwing money, hundreds of millions of dollars around.
But Felice, come on. The billionaires are looking out for the working poor. Come on. Seriously, they've
Oh,
got
we're
our
gonna,
best
yeah.
interests in mind.
Exactly. Everything's going to be fine. Elon's going to fix everything. Oh, we're going to get to that. Let me show you something because I just happened to find it after. Hold on, guys. I have something really interesting to show you. So, in the Progressive Caucus, one of the how in the House, one of my favorite House members, his name is Ro Khanna. He's a progressive. Do you like Ro Khanna? He's awesome.
Love Rokana.
I know, and it's too
Need to hear
bad.
Rokana's voice more.
I could thank you. That's what I always say. I always say that. And I was going to say, it's really interesting because there's this phenomenon going on where, well, I'll say this. Since 2016, MAGA, they don't admit it, but they love them some Bernie, right? They love
Oh,
Bernie Sanders. They'll
I
listen
know,
to
right?
Bernie. A lot of
Totally.
them were burners.
So they say.
Well, yeah, I know. So
Yeah,
they say,
yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
And then I voted for Obama, and then Trump came down the golden escalator. Yeah,
Can
so
you imagine if everybody who told us that they voted for Obama actually did, then Obama would have gotten like 5 gazillion votes for the presidency.
they all vote. I know every single person in MAGA voted for Obama. That's their, hey, see, I'm not a racist before they start saying bigoted things.
Right,
Guys, keep
right.
tapping the screen, share the live. There's 237 people in here. We should be able to get more people tapping. It is much appreciated. Okay, so this is what I want to show you guys. Ro Khanna, who's in the Progressive Caucus, he is left of left of left, but is a lot like Bernie Sanders, if not even a better communicator. I just think he probably gets less play because he's brown. You know what I mean? I'm saying with
Agreed.
MAGA.
Agreed.
Like he's a little too brown for them to listen when he talks, but he's a genius and he needs to be. So he was on the House floor yesterday, basically addressing this type of stuff and billionaires in the election, and he was furious.
This is beautiful.
Speaker, I rise today to condemn the unholy alliance between soulless wealth and power that is stripping Americans away of our freedom. The reality is that in 2024, 150 billionaires spent $1.9 billion on this election. 72% of Americans, Republicans, independents, and Democrats, are outraged with money in politics. We did not fight a revolution to be spectators in a game of billionaires putting ads on our television sets and on our mobile phones. We have more dignity, we have more power as American citizens. Our founders would be rolling over in their graves if they saw what has become of modern American democracy. $2.7 billion of super PAC spending. And let me tell you something, only 1% of Americans gave more than $200.
I mean, there's nothing to say, but any
Yeah.
thoughts? I mean, sickening.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, the people, especially in MAGA, got really I'm not even sure their reaction when Bernie came out and said that he agreed with Elon, right, to a certain extent. But if you'll notice that Bernie's comments were very pointed. He said, as long as we prioritize in the Department of Defense, as long as we are focusing on that largest bucket of money, and as long as we're, monitoring excess, which I think we could all agree, there's a lot of wasteful spending. But as a reminder, the Defense Department failed its audit for the 7th consecutive year last year. So, sure, I think he's right. It's the billionaire class getting richer on our backs, the working poor getting poorer, and now we have an incoming administration that's loaded with billionaires.
Oh my God, I don't even want to tell you this because I wasn't going to. I was going to save it for another time because I mean the amount of articles and books and things I'm reading in a given day and terrifying things I learn. I mean, I could if I started telling all you guys, we'd be paralyzed. We'd all have to be in the hospital because
Can I just a
we'd be.
comment real quick, Felice?
Oh,
I don't want I
absolutely.
don't want I don't want bad kitties to lose it. But yes, Bernie agreed with Elon only in the fact that, much like Ro Khanna just said, there's a lot of not only too much money in politics, but a lot of wasteful spending in our system of government. So Bernie was like, yes, we agree, or I agree that there needs to be an investigation as to where the money goes. But Bernie, unlike Elon, wasn't offering a blanket. He was saying, sure, as long as we're prioritizing the Department of Defense. So it's okay, kiddies. I don't want people to lose their shit that all of a sudden Bernie's agreeing with
Oh,
Elon.
and people are, yeah, actually, before I say, remind me, I need to tell you something about Steven Feinberg, but that's
Okay,
awful. But
okay.
actually, let's do address this because I walk 10 miles a day and develop lines of logic on things. And I want to explain this because I
When you're
actually
not
haven't talked.
falling into holes, by the
Yeah, when
way,
I'm not, I
right?
did fall. It was not a hole today. It was a crack. I tripped and caught myself with my hands. I did fall in a hole last time, though. And that
Okay.
was way more embarrassing. That
Okay.
I did fall in a hole in front of construction workers and they clapped and laughed at me. And today it
Okay.
was just a crack. Um, no, so this is important. So what happened, and there are a lot of Democrats who are angry about this, and it's okay, right? There's different ways to think. And my school of thought is always multiple things can be true at once. So this Doge caucus or this, they call it the Department of Government Efficiency. It's not a real government department. It's essentially a commission where the richest man in the world and another guy who defrauded Alzheimer's patients in a pump and dump scheme, in my opinion,
Right.
are going to decide what is government waste and not government waste. Now, there's one school of thought that's like, hey, this is disrespectful and awful, and we should not acknowledge this. We should not engage with these people. This is a sham, and like, let's just pretend it's not happening. And then there's another school of thought that's like, hey, this is happening, right? This is happening, and we should have a seat at the table. We should never not be at the table. We should never not know what the conversation is. So, the Doge caucus, which is where Margarine is, which is where Senator Joni Ernst is going to be, all of these
Right.
people that are allegedly saying they're going to cut 2 trillion or between 1 and 2 trillion from the budget, which if you can do math, or they're talking percentages. I've heard a lot of 33% of the budget. You can't do that without cutting Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and SNAP and things like
Exactly.
that. So I thought about it because at first I was like, don't acknowledge this is happening. This is a fake government agency and
Mm.
I can't stand it. And now I'm sort of like, no, let's point out it's a fake government agency run by rich billionaires who are actually in real time robbing us. And we need to have a seat at the table. Someone needs to get in there and, record conversations and, get our agenda across. So there's a lot of Democrats that are like, why is Bernie Sanders engaging with people?
Mm.
Why is he tweeting to Dead Name X at Elon Musk, and what he did was he said, hey, Elon Musk, I think that we shouldn't allow generals, for generals of the army to go become defense contractors after. That seems
Exactly.
pretty shady. And
Yeah.
Elon Musk didn't respond at first, but you know who did? MAGA. They were like, yeah, that is shady.
Yeah.
Millions of like all these hundreds of thousands of people on X MAGA were like, Bernie Sanders is right. That's shady. And then Elon Musk like basically saw which way the wind was blowing. And he's like, oh, I guess that is shady. And then like Bernie is basically essentially trolling Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a defense contractor. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like he's
Totally.
pointing out like, the next line of logic in that conversation is, aren't you a defense contractor, Elon Musk? Wouldn't it be weird you're being awarded government contracts, like while deciding what government waste is? Like,
Doesn't he
so
have like upwards of 25 billion currently in government contracts or something to that
yeah,
effect? It might even be
it's bill.
higher.
I mean, I'm not sure. I actually don't know what the number is, but yeah, it's billions. And yeah, we talked about it. Like he's trying to basically undo the laying of fiber cables for rural areas, like what we're doing with
Right.
the Inflation Reduction Act, and replace it with Starlink, even though we
Right.
know Starlink is terrible. And or the best way to get internet, the fastest internet, is to lay cable.
And do you remember, you recall when they were started this conversation about Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, which still makes me laugh. The initial intent was to keep it outside of government purview so that it wouldn't be subject to congressional oversight, right? So, which is part of the resistance of Elon and Vivek becoming federal employees. So again, they wouldn't have to be subject to congressional oversight. And then for MAGA and whomever else to say, well, we want this transparency. Well, that's not exactly transparent.
Oh, it's definitely not. And it's actually become the other way around because it's exactly right. They are not going to divest from their companies. They're not going
Right.
to be subject to congressional oversight. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Elon Musk and Vivek spent the whole day doing oversight on Congress, basically. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know, they spent the whole day basically in DC meeting with the Republicans and telling them what they're going to be doing in the Doge caucus. It's so backwards.
But the distraction's the point, right, Felice?
The distraction. Amen. God, I love talking to you. Amen. Thank you guys so much for the subscriptions. You don't know how much it means to me. Please gift Steve. Also, that's his Cash App and Venmo. It is much appreciated. Let's listen some more to
Thank you.
Ro Khanna screaming on
Please.
the House floor yesterday about billionaires involved in our elections.
Who has more than $200 to give to politicians? The money has become more important than votes. Surely we could agree in this body to ban super PACs and overturn Citizens United. Short of that, surely we could agree what Maine did overwhelmingly to restrict contributions to super PACs. Why should it be that a politician can only receive a contribution up to $3,300, but somehow super PACs should be allowed to get millions of dollars? We need to make sure, like Maine, in every state, that at the very least, super PACs are restricted so billionaires aren't buying our elections.
And that's an example. So Maine does that. Maine has state laws restricting super PACs. And I think facts, I was talking about this with you on Monday on our
Yep.
show, how
Hmm.
what needs to happen is the Republicans have used states' rights, brother, right? First
States' rights, America.
states' rights was first about slavery, right? Then it
Right.
was 2A, which was like, hey, our slaves are running away. We'd like to have militias to shoot them in the legs.
Right.
These are then it be states' rights, brother, became, hey, we need to marginalize the brown and black vote in the South. And we need to start using states' rights to do things like Ro Khanna is saying. Maine has laws limiting what super PACs can do within that state. Or in the case I was giving the example of immigration, that Georgetown law professor was just writing into the Washington Post editor saying, hey, I'm a law professor, like what we need to do is set up state commissions that can do XYZ. And he had a whole process laid out to protect immigrants inside of states. So we need to take back states' rights and use them to protect women, to protect immigrants, to protect, the trans community and things of that nature.
We might be able to find common ground on that with our friends on the right, Felice, right? As far as, don't you want transparency into your donor class? Like most people who most people don't know what Citizens United is, for example, but if they really knew what it was, wouldn't they want that level of transparency? That might be an opportunity for some common ground. Who knows?
Oh, when I debate at night, I would say the one question you will never, like with MAGA, we always agree on every single time. If you say, hey, should we get money out of politics? 100% of the time, people are like, yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we all do agree on that, and that's what Bernie Sanders was talking about in
Exactly.
2016. That they're like, yeah, and that's Trump duped them, right? Trump didn't drain any swamp. Trump grew the swamp. Trump brought Goldman Sachs into the treasury. Like, Trump, Trump grew the swamp, but that's why Trump ran on. Remember 2016, what he said to them once Bernie Sanders kind of got effed over, and it was Hillary, and Trump rose up, and he said, "Hey, I'm a billionaire." you know, I'm a billionaire. I will never need lobbyist money, right? I don't need lobbyist money. I can pay for my own election. I'm not going to be beholden to special interest groups. So you can trust me. Like that is what he sold them on, draining
Right.
the swamp.
Right. I think again, for me, it's Citizens United. I've always had this opinion on lobbying. Like, I don't think you should be able to be a member of Congress if you performed lobbyist functions prior, and I don't think you should be able to be a lobbyist after you leave Congress. Think about David Perdue. He was just appointed ambassador to China, and he has been. I mean, talk about a person who is like the most
Don't get me started.
exactly. Yeah, I saw that in your notes somewhere. But that is a pitiful example of somebody who's been all about PACs and secret money and dark money and everything else, and now he's going to be ambassador to China.
I
That's
know, it's
crazy.
absolute our ambassador to China is somebody who's basically known for offshoring jobs. Like, Trump
Exactly.
sold MAGA on, "We're bringing manufacturing back, hey, manufacturing jobs back." If you know, Trump lost manufacturing jobs, and I'm not talking about from COVID. Tariffs don't create jobs. Protectionism creates votes in an election. Like,
That's right.
that's the reality. And yeah, and he now the man who's going to be ambassador to China is literally known for offshoring jobs to China. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's let Ro Khanna finish it out.
I founded the No PAC caucus in the United States Congress. We need to end PAC money, lobbyist money that is corrupting the soul of our democracy. We may not agree on every issue, but when you look at why politicians sold our jobs overseas, why Wall Street raided our manufacturers and hollowed out industry after industry to worship shareholder profits, then you have to look at the influence billionaires have had on our democracy. Let's return power to our citizens. Let's ban super PACs. Let's at least regulate billionaires from contributing to super PACs. Let's ban members from accepting PAC and lobbyist money. That will be worthy of our time.
Sign me
I
up.
mean, I know truer words were never spoken. Like, I
Yep.
don't think anybody on the left or right will disagree with that. I don't think. I mean, I don't. It's very interesting to me. I mean, How is it possible that? If it's fascinating to me that they don't see Elon Musk as a problem. But if you ask them directly, "Hey, should we get money out of politics? Should we get PAC money out of politics? Should we end Citizens United?" They'll always say yes. But
They don't
then
look. I'm curious of your opinion on this. I don't think they look at Elon that way. I think they look at Elon as their savior. Like he is the one that will root out government corruption. He is the one that will spearhead the attack against the deep state. Meanwhile, he is the deep state.
I mean, it's the weirdest dichotomy. And again, he's a nepo baby. It's like
Totally.
when I start hearing people, one of the things that annoys me most when you hear people talk about Elon Musk is they're like, he's an innovator. Like, look what he's done. Look at the technology he developed. Hey, two actual engineers, actual scientists developed the Tesla technology. And Elon Musk, who inherited his wealth from his daddy, a South African billionaire or close to billion, hundreds of billionaire, and then bought the technology. That is what happened. Joanna's
Yeah,
here. Hi,
yeah,
Joanna.
an overstayed student visa.
Yes, an overstayed student visa.
But we got to get the immigrants out, right? Right.
Get them
That's
out.
right.
Yeah. Hey, Fax, how are you?
Hi, Joanna. Nice to see you.
Same. Your show was great this morning. The magas were unhinged as usual. It was wild. Hi,
Thank you.
Felice, how are you?
You know I am. I'm in the group chat.
Yeah. Well, you look gorgeous.
Thank you.
So all the people in the chat, y'all are enjoying yapping, as am I. I'm seeing today y'all are also enjoying tapping, and we love you for that. Keep it up so we won't have to turn the comments off because we love the conversations that are happening in the chat as we get all this brilliant information from these brilliant people. Keep gifting, keep sharing because the shares should be up a little higher. We should be at least 200 right now, so get those shares to going. Keep those taps coming. We appreciate it. Fax pay links are on the screen. Felice's pay links are up there. If you need a link to the Discord, message FeliceNavi.live. If you want her to read a message out loud, send it to her Cash App along with a little change, couple coins here and there. It's always appreciated. That's on the screen as well as A Girl Has No Name. Also subscribe to her YouTube channel. That's also same name, A Girl Has No Name. We appreciate it. Keep tapping, keep sharing, keep communicating, do all of the things that will keep the live going and get it out to more people. Also, if there are ops in the chat, come on up. We don't bite.
Nibble.
Yeah, you're welcome to request. I love this. It's kind of like being a flight attendant. I also like yapping and tapping. I love a rhyme. You're amazing, Joanna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanna.
I need structure. I can't create my own structure. I grew up in chaos, so
Chaos is your structure.
right. It is that's why I love having people create structure for me. And when I was a teacher, that's what I realized. People like structure. They like to
Sure.
know what is expected of them. Okay, so this is what we were talking about. And this is again a Washington Post article that's in today's outline. If you need a link to the Discord, this is my TikTok business account. It's just Feliz Navidad Live. That's what people used to call me in school. Feliz Navidad. Get it? And so
Oh,
just message and say we need a link to the Discord. I'll get you one every day, every clip, every article, every thread is in the live sources section in our Discord. We're trying to create an army of people armed with the receipts and the truth. So again, I suggest reading this article because it's great. But like I said, yesterday was like a weird clinic for Republicans in Congress, an all-day clinic and meetings. It was like a retreat put on by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And here's the weirdest part. I don't know if you've heard this yet, Fax, but you know what happened yesterday, right? Like, I think it was CNN. There's a show called The K Files, and they were, you know what they do, digging up receipts on Vivek. And basically, we're not talking about years ago. I just want to be clear. I'm talking about within the last year, right? And max the last 2 years, they dug up all of these clips of Vivek just taking a shit on Elon Musk.
recite your gifting goal. Yeah, I hear you.
Like, I mean, and so imagine that though, like they are literally sitting there, like they have to do all these meetings and Elon Musk is, I don't know if you, I mean, but there's all this tumult, which Trump likes, right? He
Yep.
plays the people in his administration off each other, right? He goes to one, talks shit about someone else. He always plays them off each other in this competition way to make them feel like their jobs are unstable. So there's a lot of infighting. And now
Right. In his
Vivek,
quest to find loyalty, right? In his quest to find true
yes,
loyalty.
to find the best people.
Right. Exactly.
To find the
The
very
best people.
best of the very
Yeah.
best. He manipulates and plays one off the other. And so they're always fighting each other. And now Vivek, like trust me, I'll show you the clip in a bit. Vivek probably had a very rough day hanging out with Elon. But this is the most disturbing part that I need to show you. So this is why this is so shady. The richest man in the world, who is getting the most government welfare from the United States, has the most government contracts to the tune of billions. And Vivek Ramaswamy said, and probably because he's in the doghouse with Elon, said it is likely that the Doge committee, run by himself and Elon, will recommend that the $6.6 billion loan to Tesla competitor Rivian. If you don't know Rivian, like my brother's a corporate lawyer, like he has a Rivian truck. They're actually really cool. They're really nice electric vehicles. They're
Yeah.
Tesla's like major competitor. They have it's just a loan to build a new production facility in the US, in Georgia. And Vivek came out and said they're going to revoke it.
Of course
So
they are.
think about it. The richest man in the world is now ruining his competitors' chances of succeeding in the American market.
Well, again, billionaires looking out for the free market. Rivians are very popular in my neck of the woods. It's funny because there's a divide in small town Vermont, there's a divide between Rivians and Teslas, and Rivians certainly outpace them. And I know that there's a lot of brand loyalty when it connects these things. And I think people who look at the Rivian model is like, we're into the EV market, but we hate Elon. And here's another example why. And wasn't it Gavin Newsom recently who said, you want to mess with this EV industry there, or you want to start regulating there, Elon? We got some news for you. We're the biggest consumer base in the country and the fourth largest economy in the world. So be careful. They're again in the FAFO. They're in the AFO phase.
Yeah, there's like, and I can't remember, I think it's the recovery plan from COVID. There basically was like a tax credit for people who buy electric vehicles, right? It's like $7,000 or something,
Something like
7,000
that. Yeah.
something. Yeah. And
Yep.
And basically they're talking about revoking it, and Gavin Newsom said, hey, I run the fourth largest economy in the world, let me show you how to fight Trump. And he basically was like, hey, if they're going to cancel the EV tax credit, then I'm going to honor it in California for every EV company except for Tesla.
Exactly.
That's
Petty,
that's what he
petty
said.
ass
I'm
bullshit, and I
loving
love it.
Gavin Newsom. Yeah, I know, and he's
Me
doing
too.
other things too. Gavin Newsom. I mean, I like I didn't know how I felt about him possibly being president, but he is running the fourth largest gross domestic product in the world, and he is
Hmm.
showing us how to fight back. I'm loving what he's doing the last 2 weeks. Okay, so this we're gonna pivot a little bit. This is, and I talked to you guys about this yesterday. This is sort of about the media all of a sudden being terrified and bowing to Trump, like the Joe and Mika scandal. We talked about this yesterday. I showed you it was a 10-minute. Joe Scarborough lost his mind yesterday on his show and
Yeah.
basically went on a 9-minute and 48-second rant. It started out about David Frum. David Frum is probably one of the best journalists there is. He writes for The Atlantic. This
He's
is
amazing.
now one of the most read articles on like that The Atlantic has ever published, I guess. It's called The Sound of Fear on Air, because what happened, I'm just going to jog people's memories for people that weren't here yesterday. David Frum went on uh Joe, what is it? The Morning Joe, like on
Yep.
Wednesday.
Yep.
And they were talking about Pete Hegseth and everything. He basically made a joke and just said, oh, if you're too intoxicated for Fox News, like that's crazy. Like just saying, like,
Good
how could
point.
that
Yeah.
be? Basically kind of inferring like they have no standards. You don't even have to tell the truth there. And if you guys don't know why he's saying that, it's because people who work at Fox News, uh, on the condition of anonymity, spoke to a bunch of news outlets and said that Pete Hegseth had a well-known like intoxication problem.
Yeah.
And he was on
Public.
Fox and Friends. That was like at 5 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so just, that's what they were saying. And so that's what he was discussing. And he says, basically in this article, which I do suggest people read, that he was asked to leave after saying that. Mika and Joe asked him to leave. They say they just finished the segment with him. He says he was asked to leave. And then Mika like issues this weird apology. She basically on air is like, there are great people at Fox News, and we're sorry that he said that. And so then yesterday, as a result of that, Joe and Mika are like ranting on air for 10 minutes, right? Where it doesn't just become about that. They start yelling in defense of them visiting Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And saying, you guys don't know how journalism works. You're mad that we went to Mar-a-Lago to do some background, and it wasn't on the record. Well, so did they start throwing other publications and media networks under the bus. They're like, well, so does the Washington Post, and so does the New York Times. And like Joe is ranting for 10 minutes, just throwing everyone under the bus he can. But the reason I think it's hypocritical is I remember, because he's saying, anybody who got to sit down with the president-elect and do some background, whether it was on or off the record, if they didn't do that, they would be fired. That's what his point was. But it's really, and he's like, it doesn't matter if it's a fascist dictator or a democratic president. Like if you can get that seat at the table, like you take it. Except for the fact that when Tucker Carlson interviewed Putin, like he was one of the ones ranting about it. It's like, okay, then why did you say that Tucker Carlson had lost all credibility when he interviewed Putin, if that's true?
Right. We might have talked about this too. This is a fundamental flaw during the Trump era in regard to mainstream media. They don't know how to cover him. So Fox will either just kiss his ass and pander to him, and they won't call him out on anything. And then, although there is no real left wing media, it's left of center potentially for mainstream media in America. They don't want to challenge it because guess what? The corporate donors who support their networks are also supporting Fox. So again, it's the billionaire class trying to manipulate the audience. So Mika and Joe, I mean, I'll never defend them. I hated their show to begin with. You could see right through them. But
Joe
yeah,
Scarborough, and I'm talking about from the time I was old enough to watch politics, I was like, oh, that's a moderate to conservative Republican. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
he's a
They're
Nepo baby
now
too.
exactly right. And now here they are. Now they have no choice but to, kiss the ring. They have no choice. And that's a problem. So I think that's where social, whether it be Blue Sky or platforms like this, it's people like you, it's people like me that are pushing back because we're going to call it like it is. We're not beholden to anybody
I have
except
nothing
obviously
to lose,
we're
and I
grift.
mean it. I mean,
Yeah, me neither.
even in a lawsuit, I mean, like,
Yeah,
oh, you're gonna sue
me
me?
too.
Joke's on you.
That's right. I mean, I've got another kid ready to go
Cool.
to college. I need to be as poor as possible to help pay for
Like,
it.
oh,
So
you're gonna sue me? You're gonna get nothing, and I
good luck.
really don't have much of the way of a reputation to ruin anyways. So
Yeah, but you know what I
cool.
mean. I mean, the Republican and Democratic Party, their corporate donors are the same by and large, with maybe just a few exceptions here and there. So the right wing will just pander to whatever Trump says. They won't care, and the left won't challenge him hard enough. They won't give him the specific questions to make him answer because they're beholden to their donors as well. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about eyeballs.
Yeah, and
It's weird.
Mika's dad. Yeah, Mika's dad was like a civil servant, whatever he was. And she's always like, well, my dad. It's like, Mika, we don't care about your dad. Please stop. Like,
Yeah, we
please
don't.
stop talking about your wealthy, well-to-do parents. Like, it's only making us like you guys less every
Yeah,
time you
your
do that.
entitlement is showing. Yeah,
Yeah, like, oh, my dad was in jail once. Like, like, please stop talking to us about your rich, important parents. It just makes us resent you more. So this is what I want to
exactly.
say. Like, this is along the same lines in terms of this is George Conway, who George Conway was married to Kellyanne Conway. I love George Conway. They got divorced, because I mean, God only
Who
knows
could be
why.
married to her?
But so this is, I know. Can you? I don't want to
I
say
can't
that
imagine.
because it's hard.
No,
I
but
mean,
it's
it's
true.
hard to also be married to men, but God, it must have been hard. Well, okay, as long as we're talking about, do you remember when their daughter, Claudia Conway, like
Yeah.
influenced the 2020 election by being on TikTok and basically being like, my mom is the worst. Like,
My mom's a wacko. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh
oh
yeah,
my,
yeah.
that I loved Claudia Conway was like the star of the 2020, the dark horse of the 2020 election. She
So
did.
true. Like Herschel Walker's son,
I know.
right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
He's actually still doing great. So George Conway was commenting on that article, on David Frum's article, and he said, "This is the most read piece on theatlantic.com. It should be the most read piece. You should all read it, even though it may make you sad." Scarborough then also ripped George Conway for making this post recommending Frum's column on air today. Like, anybody that says anything, George Scarborough starts crying and screaming about. And Mark Elias is, my God, if you don't know, the Elias law firm, Mark Elias, he is the man that is basically fighting all of our battles, the voter suppression, the gerrymandering, the 2020 election was stolen. That is the law firm that fights for the Democratic Party, fights for voting rights, fights for gerrymandering maps. Mark Elias is amazing. And he said, I
Agreed.
you guys know the saying, right? When you're involved in the rise of a fascist government, you never obey in advance, right? You make them force you. And he said,
Exactly.
I think the question is how much more their MSNBC audience will take of anticipatory obedience.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Burn.
very true. Like, you
It
didn't
sure
even
is.
have to. You crawled on your hands and knees. It's the same way. It's the difference between Justin Trudeau and Claudia Scheinbaum. She's like, "Oh, I wrote this letter a year ago when I realized you might be elected president. Like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm correcting all your lies, and here's what I'm going to do to you if you try to put tariffs on Mexico." She didn't even get out of her chair. And then Justin
No.
Trudeau's like flying to West Palm Beach.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because of course MAGA will say that, or the conversation that Trump's saying that they'll make Canada the 51st state and whatever that is. But first of all, Trump couldn't visit Trudeau because felons can't go to Canada currently. So there's that. But what choice did Trudeau have? I'm not defending him because I've got my issues with Justin Trudeau as well. But what
We
choice? I
all
mean,
do.
exactly. The whole the Canadian economy is so dependent on the United States. I mean, we're not as dependent on Canada as they are on us. So he's in a tough spot. He's really in a tough spot. He really is.
Well,
I
I
don't like
don't
the
think
look though. I don't like the
it's not
optics.
necessarily about the trade deficit because the heavy crude oil we need from them alone,
Yeah, yeah.
um, like makes us dependent on them. We do not produce.
Good
We
point.
only produce light crude. We need the heavy crude oil we get from them. It's like 60% of our heavy crude oil. Like we can't replace it with anything else. So I mean, you could say that. I don't think trade deficits are necessarily a problem. I think the bigger issue of why Justin Trudeau had to go down there is his elections coming up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's you know what and he's getting so much pressure and he probably will lose. Like it's the same situation Biden was in. If you were in office during the pandemic, you probably are going to leave office
Yep. Well, we
statistically.
know we learned that lesson, right? Every incumbency
Yeah,
globally.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what Justin Trudeau's facing. So when the conservatives are like, "You better get down there," I think he just went. And Adam Kinzinger said about Mika Joe, insane stuff from them, which I do love to see them flounder. And this is okay. So do you know who Harry Litman is?
Sure do.
Yeah. Harry Litman's like, huge in the DOJ, like worked in the DOJ for decades. He is a contributor to MSNBC, but also, he's a prosecutor, also was working for
U.S.
the
attorney.
Oh
U.S.
yeah,
attorney at one
US
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
US
like
oh yeah,
highly ranked.
for
Yeah.
decades. No, he's more than that too. He was like the third ranking member of the DOJ or something at
Yeah, that's
one
what I
point.
mean. Like a high-ranking U.S. attorney
Yeah.
outside of that's the federal level.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's up there.
Harry Litman
He's
is a
got the
legend.
goods.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he
he
is.
was a contributor to the Los Angeles Times and he quit yesterday. This is just all
Yeah.
along the lines of the media bowing to Trump. And
Yep.
so he basically was like, I can't work for the Los Angeles Times anymore. Listen to what he said. This is yesterday.
Well, I put it all out in my Substack, but let me just start here with everything we were saying last time. Papers have such an important role to play now and in this country. Trump has captured the political arena, maybe the Supreme Court, and he's going after now the FBI, potentially the military, and really they're one of the few institutions to be able to stand up and push back, and it's in their finest tradition. And Trump has made clear he'll go after them, and that's an absolute, five-alarm fire. And some papers and my former newspaper, the LA Times, I think, rather than pushing back strongly in the tradition of the finest papers in the country, think of Watergate and John Mitchell saying, if I can be vulgar, Katie Graham's going to get her tit caught in a ringer. And of course they pushed back, and of course they fought the government. Here, I think there's no other inference, but the owner of the LA Times has decided to curry favor with Trump, to move in that direction, to be, in his own words, fair and balanced. And I just think this is not a time for balance when you have someone who's not telling the truth on the other side. And it's a deep responsibility. And instead, I think they cowered and are worried about their personal holdings and just being threatened by Trump, and that's a really shameful capitulation, I think. So I just felt I couldn't be a part of it and had to resign.
Boom.
Yeah.
I love Harry Litman.
Just what we talked about. They don't know how to cover him, kowtowing, soliciting favor. It's for somebody who's worked in media for as long as I have. I mean, when you lose the ability for media to stand up to the system because you have a pressure of intimidation, then you might as well just disregard that right. Freedom of the press no longer exists. Integrity.
Exactly.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, this is the problem with for-profit media, right? When you have shareholders, when you have investors, when you have very rich people controlling the media who are terrified of losing their fortunes. Like I said, I have nothing to lose but the clothes on my back. Good luck.
Same. I'm with you.
Good luck. I have nothing to lose. Okay, so now speaking of the media kowtowing to Trump, I'm sure no one saw this. I'd like to believe no one had to see it but me. But last night, Fox had a fake awards ceremony for Trump. I'm not even joking. They declared him like the honorary patriot of the year. They made him a fake trophy and handed it to him. Did anybody happen to see this?
I saw
Absolute
that in your
travesty.
outline. I'm like, wait a second, what the hell is this?
No, I know, and most people didn't even report it. They literally Fox News. I guarantee you, Trump's like, make me a fake award. Do you remember when it came out in the court filings of the Stormy Daniels trial that
Yes.
Trump made Michael Cohen go like pay an engineer to like defraud a website so he could win a poll?
Yes.
So we could win a fake on it was like an online voting poll, just some random online award that he wanted to win and made Michael Cohen go pay some guy to like make
Or
sure he won the poll.
or the club championship at Mar-a-Lago when he wasn't even there for 2 days, and he just called the club pro or one of his properties and said, "Just I'm the winner. I would have won anyway," forcing him to give him the trophy. He's such
That's
a
what I'm saying.
baby.
Last night, Fox News had to have an award show for Trump and give him a fake trophy. I'm not even joking. Guys, we have 886 people in here. Please help me meet my subscription goal. That's faxes, Cash App, and Venmo. Please, that's our preferred way to donate. This is mine. Cash App and Venmo is A Girl Has No Name. If you have a question, comment, joke, whatever it is, we'll read it aloud on the show. We do really appreciate your support. I'm also pushing this to YouTube. Fax probably is too. My YouTube is also written the same way. A Girl Has No Name. Follow me, interact with my YouTube. It is much appreciated. And now, unfortunately, and I encourage you while you're watching these clips, just take your rage out and tap the screen. This
Yes.
is, I mean, Trump, I mean, I'm not going to show you him receiving his fake award. I'm just going to show you Trump rambling a couple of things. But yeah, Trump's receiving the Patriot of the Year award from Fox News, which means absolutely nothing, in case you were wondering.
They tried, and then they just dropped their placards and went home. They said, "This is a slaughter," and but we're gonna do things that have been really needed for a long time, and we are going to look at elections. We want to have paper ballots, one-day voting, voter ID, and proof of citizenship. A little thing like proofs of, and we have.
Any thoughts on that?
He just won, and they still want to complain about it.
No, oh no, that's all he did, by the way. The same, like, because I've never missed a Trump rally. I have literally, and that's a sad claim to fame. But you know, I gotta keep an eye on, I gotta keep an
Sure.
eye on these people. And literally, I mean, that's what it was. It was still complaining. This man is the president-elect. You would think he'd be like, okay, like I'm here. I'm less angry now. Nope. Still complaining. And we've talked about this a lot, and I'll go through it again sometime. But the SAVE Act, he's referring when he talks about we're going to require voter ID and only citizens can vote. That is the illusion or the exact another example of that is what they're doing with the trans community in bathrooms, right? There's
Right.
no statistical correlation between the trans community using the bathroom of their gender identity and crimes being committed, right? Also, if a crime is committed in a bathroom, this is going to blow your guys' mind. Let's say 6 koalas stacked on top of each other in a trench coat go into a bathroom and start peering under stalls and lurking on women. That's already illegal. You just call somebody and say, "Hey, there's a weirdo in this bathroom trying to lurk on me," and that's already illegal. Surprise, because you know the same. You don't legislate when a problem doesn't exist, right? And Republicans are the ones who say that. Small government.
Exactly. Can we call out something else that was said there? He talked about, and the audience cheered for paper ballots and one. Well, absolutely impossible to do in a country
Oh,
our
of
size.
course, he's just saying
Absolutely
things.
impossible. And yet they cheer for it. And they literally just won an election by encouraging their voters to vote by mail.
They have to cheer for Dear Orange Leader. Facts. If they
I
don't
know.
cheer
I
for
mean,
Dear Orange Leader, they're going to go on the list.
right. Have you noticed, Felice? Because again, part of the shift in strategy from the Republicans going back to the RNC was they were literally pushing a vote by mail campaign. So their voters responded in
No,
kind,
Trump
and yet
voted early.
I know, and no criticism though. Where has been the right saying that mail-in ballots are fraudulent? Oh, I get it. It's only when they win the election are they not fraudulent. Got it. Got it.
I
Now it
loved
makes
it.
sense.
Ever since I used to do lives with someone else, this person who's this is so funny. Like their Cash App name is Donald J. Trump, so it looks like Trump sends me messages. It's very funny. And it
That's
says,
awesome.
"That was a major award. Melania loves my leg lamp." Thank you. So that's so funny. I mean, it was. It was a big deal, you guys. Patriot of the Year. Who knew that was a thing? Patriot of the Year. No, but I about the Save Act and about saying we're gonna force, all these or all these non-citizens are trying to vote. I went through the numbers, right? There are studies on this, and guess who they're done by? This is the best part. The Heritage Foundation.
I was just going to
The
say that. Yeah.
Heritage Foundation is tracking non-citizens' attempts to either register to vote or attempt to vote. And guess how many there have been? Since
How many?
2000, I think it's either 2002 or 2004, there have been like less than 100.
Wow.
It's not a problem. This is a completely made up thing. Now let's move on to Trump's next complaint after receiving Patriot of the Year last night.
By the way, breaking news: Nick Fuentes charged with battery of a woman he maced. Remember that story that came out? Somebody
Oh
was at his
no,
door
and I didn't
he
know if that
maced her.
was real or not. I was like, is this real? Did he really mace someone?
He's been reportedly been charged with battery following an incident last month in which he allegedly maced an activist who came to a suburban Chicago home. Thank you, political mom.
There's so much as part of the LGBTQIA. As a pansexual person, I would like to say about Nick Fuentes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
much. It's so
I'm
very
sure.
obvious what is going on with Nick Fuentes. As also a fellow, as a Mexican indigenous person, there's so many very obvious things about what's going on with Nick Fuentes. Like, it's
Yeah.
very, very ironic and contrary to who it seems that he actually is when you talk to
Mm-hmm.
people who know him, why he would be saying things like your body, my choice to women, if
Right.
you catch my drift.
Exactly.
It's very strange. I'm just talking out loud here
Exactly.
about random things.
Accusations, and
Canada
projections, and confessions.
Yeah.
And Justin came flying right in because we talked about 25% tariffs. That's just the beginner. This is a hell of a nice crowd. I like this one. This is a nice crowd. A lot of people thought we're going to.
My God.
Oh my God, I know. So again, this is a complete lie. Like CNN actually did report, like talk to Justin Trudeau, and Justin Trudeau's like, "Hey, I went to Mar-a-Lago because, well, he didn't say Trump can't come to Canada, but he just said I went there because when Donald Trump says these types of things, he actually sometimes follows through, and I had to go explain to Donald Trump how tariffs work." That's what he said. That's what
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau said. And Trump's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, like I own Justin Trudeau. I won." No, you didn't win. You didn't get anything.
Canada. And Justin came flying right in because we talked about 25% tariffs. That's just the beginner. This is a hell of a nice crowd. I like this one. This is a nice crowd. A lot of people thought we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down.
Can't let this go. This is another one. I was talking about this yesterday. Pickles and I were debating, I think on Wednesday night, and this 18-year-old kid came on and was screaming, and someone was screaming in the background who we realized was his father. And this kid had been completely indoctrinated, and he was screaming at us like, "We're going to be energy independent now. You guys will see." And I was like, "Sir, we've been energy independent since 2019. Like, what in the world are you talking about?" He's like, "No, we haven't." And I could hear his dad in the background saying, "No, we haven't. F Joe Biden." Like, it's like, yes, we have. We have been energy independent since 2019. And if you notice, which I know because I actually read and follow the news every day, and Trump's drill baby drill. Well, Exxon executives have come out and been like, no, that's not happening.
Bullshit, basically. Yeah.
No, yeah, because they walk a fine line, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. The start of inflation was in 2020, right? When Trump's oil cronies came to him and said, "Hey, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, Prince, and Putin are producing too many barrels of oil. Gas prices, gas is at 187 in America. Please tell them, please go to your little friends and tell them to produce less oil." Which, if you're hearing that correctly, Trump effed over the American people, went to his friends and told them to produce fewer barrels of oil so there would be scarcity in the market, so prices would go up. He effed over Americans. He drove the price of gas up, right? And the minute
Yeah, I
that
mean,
deal ended that Trump made in
yep,
2022, and you can track this on OPEC, you could see it
exactly.
month over month, quarter over quarter. That was well, the real start of inflation was tariffs, but that was the climb. And then he went and did that month over month. Inflation rises, 2022, that deal ends, gas prices goes down, inflation goes down.
Exactly. That in and of itself, in going back and reviewing that OPEC Plus deal, the issue was the length. Like if that was a short, abbreviated deal that they had made a few months, 6 months or so as the market stabilized, then that probably would have been effective. But because it was 2 years, wasn't it 10 million barrels a day, I think, less from global production, which is exactly as you described it. As soon as that deal expires, when we saw the spike.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Hey, Chrissy.
Hello, friends. How are you today?
Hi,
Good.
Chrissy. You got the bars of death.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Hi, friends. I am super excited to see all 950 of you here today. I'm a little late to the game, so we're all going to work on this together, but we're going to be at 250,000 before 4 o'clock. Or we're going to lose comments, guys. We've got 950 friends in here. We've got facts. We've got Felice. So much information, so much amazing stuff. I can't wait to help you guys get to that goal. 4 o'clock, 250,000. Let's go. Don't forget to gift, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Chrissy. You're the best. Guys,
Thanks, Chrissy.
follow Facts. That's his Cash App and Venmo. Follow me if you haven't followed me. Support creators. If you like the people's receipts, please come back and see us. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 a.m. or p.m. Eastern. Time is hard. Don't blame me. Time is very hard for me. Okay, brace yourselves for this. So
Hey, don't
again,
forget about Facts and Felice Monday mornings, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
oh yeah, our next show, yes, 8 a.m. Eastern time will be Facts and Felice on Mondays, and it's a great show actually. I feel like that's when I do my best intelligence like amount of it. Like I dump so much information on people there. It's like I've
Well, you're
rested
always
over the
intelligent. That's
weekend,
just
and then I
another.
fill
That's just.
up with all this information that I just regurgitate. I know
I have to
people.
turn your notifications off because they come like rapid fire sometimes. I
Oh, I
love it
know.
though.
I'm sorry about that. It's just my
Don't
brain. It's how my
apologize. I love
brain
it.
works.
I
Okay,
love it.
so brace yourself for. I mean, so we've just talked about how Trump is the media, like the media is bowing to Trump. We are in Delulu land. Last night, Fox gave Trump a plastic trophy and called him Patriot of the Year.
Normally, if you were to be in the Treasury, in that empty Treasury building, are you looking forward to the difference of what this means when it comes to reaching out with the people?
Well, the Treasury Department was certainly not empty when we were there, Tammy, because we were saving the U.S. economy not once but twice in the first Trump administration, bringing it back after 8 long years of Obama, Biden, and then, of course, after the COVID pandemic.
Have they ever told the truth?
Never.
One time, have the people on Fox ever told the truth? Literally,
Not unless you're Jessica Tarloff.
Yeah, exactly. Our leftist angel on Fox, long
Right.
suffering Jessica Tarlov over there. I don't know how that woman can even survive over there. But
I know.
imagine to tell the exact opposite of the truth. Like, you cannot turn the economy around in 4 years, first of all. Excuse me, without passing any legislation to
Correct.
affect the economy, right?
Correct.
Donald Trump inherited a robust economy from Obama. Economies don't turn on a dime. It's like, it's not a speedboat, it's a cruise ship. The first 2 years of Trump's presidency, that is Obama's economy. Then he passes what? The TCJA? Imagine, which is wholly irresponsible. He says, "Hey guys, I have a great idea. I'm going to bring in less tax revenue and I'm going to spend more." He's spending, 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 spending on the military like his life depends on it. And then he says, and people are like, "Hey, you're mismanaging the budget. Where's the revenue? If we're not going to get revenue from corporations and from rich people, where's the revenue going to come from?" And he said, "Don't worry. I put some protectionism tariffs on certain things, and that will bring in revenue." And guess what? It did not. And I do admit he could not foresee the pandemic, but then the pandemic and our
It
economy
goes
did a complete nosedive.
it goes even a little bit deeper than that, Lisa. We were heading towards a manufacturing recession prior to COVID. I mean, you could think about it this way, that COVID theoretically
Oh,
saved his ass.
my actual, well, in the view of MAGA, it does. That's the number one. What do you hear when you say, if you say to someone, Trump is the worst president on jobs, they always say, "No, that's COVID. That's COVID." No, he was the
Exactly.
worst president he was on track to be the worst president on jobs prior to COVID.
Correct.
That's what people, tariffs don't bring jobs,
No,
especially not in the short term.
not
Tar-
blanket tariffs, that's for sure. Yeah.
well, and
Yep.
not even protectionist tariffs. They don't. He lost jobs in manufacturing. They didn't bring jobs. There have been studies done on this. What they bring is votes. Protectionism brings
True.
votes,
True.
right? I
You know,
mean, that's the truth. He was terrible on jobs prior to COVID, right?
what we're going to
We just
experience.
talked about it. He drove up inflations with the tariffs. Then 2020 came him. Everyone loves low gas prices in America, and Trump purposely, to help his rich friends, raised gas prices. He asked Putin and he asked MBS to cut production of oil to raise gas prices in America. And that was the start of the climate of inflation.
How many times over the last couple of years have we had conversations with people to try to explain exactly that? There's like a 2 year lag from one administration to the other. Economic plans and policies usually don't take effect 18 to 24 months, typically speaking. So when Trump comes into office, just like and that's what happened. So Trump needed to, Trump voters needed to accept the reality that he inherited Obama's economy. Same thing now. He's going to inherit a robust economy that the rest of the world would do anything to have. And of course, as soon as he's in J1, 12:01 p.m. on January 20th, look how great the economy is doing, thanks to Trump. So that's the problem that we're going to face now. So I'm glad every time we hear these clips when he says he's going to end inflation and lower prices, then when those prices don't go down, the Democratic media machine better be on that shit to say, he's been telling you prices are going to go down. How come they're going up? A reminder over and over and over again. The price for eggs are still high. Why? The price for gas is still high. Why? The price for everything is still high. Why? Make them answer it. Make them answer that question, because you know they're going to try to take credit for the Biden economy.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and not just the economy. And by the way, the economy that Trump inherited from Obama, it was robust, but there were issues with it.
Sure there were.
He is inheriting an economy that is 1,000 times better this time.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Biden's economy is firing on all cylinders. We recovered the best in the G7 from the pandemic. Biden put on a master class of policy to recover an economy. And that was Biden, not Trump. And he's going to inherit and take credit, and the border, right? And
Exactly.
I'm going to harp on this every single day. From the worst point of encounters at the border was December 2023. Now, December 2024, encounters are 75% down, largely due to an app. Who knows? Who knew people trying to sneak into the country, if you gave them an app, would just schedule an appointment? It's the craziest thing. And Claudia Scheinbaum and the carousel, what they call the carousel. That's why that's one of the things she shamed Trump on when he tried to say, I'm giving, oh, cool. I've never seen that. When he tried to he's like, oh, here come the 25% tariffs because the war on illicit substances and you have caravans coming to our border. She's like, there are no caravans. There haven't been caravans. She's like, we've already handled that. Yeah. That was Kamala Harris and Anthony Blinken. They call it El Carousel, right? They basically, when people enter at the south of Mexico, they move to the north, they pick them up on buses and move them back to the south. And some people keep trying. It's just literally like you try to come down, you get picked up, you move back up. There are no caravans. And Trump's declaring, I won. No, thanks, Joe Biden, for fixing the border.
Exactly.
And now speaking of the tariffs, this is another amazing example. This is another example of we effing tried to tell you to not vote for Donald Trump, and now you're here. So Pennsylvania steelworkers, right? These are Pennsylvania steelworkers who voted for Donald Trump, union laborers who believed Donald Trump when he said he was pro-union and he would revive the Nippon Steel deal with Japan. Guess what? It was killed yesterday. And they're in shock. They cannot believe that Trump isn't supporting the steel workers in Pennsylvania, that he's not helping them. They cannot believe it. Listen to this.
One of those union leaders also spoke at a Trump rally shortly before the election. He says he was shocked to hear the president-elect come out so strongly against the deal so soon after the election.
Very frustrated with the news that came out last night. I thought, I didn't think that, I didn't expect that to come out. So that was like a gut punch.
Union leaders at
It was a gut punch. You guys, he thought Trump was pro-union. How could you think that? That was a gut punch. Have you ever read an article? Trump was doing a 5-hour Twitter Spaces with Elon Musk praising him for being a union buster, and you thought Trump was going to help you?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for subscribing, you guys. The subscriptions are so appreciated. Is it the Combs? Sorry, it's hard to see on TikTok studio names. Thank you so much for the subscription. I truly appreciate it. Yeah. So again, the unions the steel unions in Pennsylvania cannot believe that Trump isn't doing what he said he was going to do for them.
Y'all heard the mods. If we're not at 250, they're going to turn off comments. You
guys, yeah, there's 900 people in here. We can easily get to 300,000. Please tap the screen while we watch the clips. Tap the screen, share the lives. We can definitely get to 300,000. We got to 300,000 people yesterday, and I think there were like 600 people in here.
Let's do it.
At a Trump rally shortly before the election, he says he was shocked to hear the president-elect come out so strongly against the deal so soon after the election.
Very frustrated with the news that came out last night. I thought, I didn't think that, I didn't expect that to come out. So that was like a gut punch.
Union leaders at the U.S. Steel Irvin Works say 95% of their members are in favor of the Nippon merger, and many of them were at the Trump rally in Pittsburgh the day before the election. The union leaders say they were initially skeptical of the deal, but they came around after meeting with Nippon officials during the summer. Nippon pledged to spend $1 billion to upgrade the 86-year-old hot strip mill at Irvin Works. West Mifflin's mayor says one job at Irvin Works supports another 7 jobs in his community. One of those union leaders also.
So Trump strikes again. He's not even technically in office, and he's backing out on deals he made with people. F around and find out.
This is an example, right, of going after like the blue collar workers in our country, union workers who help build the middle class, right? Unions help create the protections that a lot of workers have today, including, weekends and holidays and shit like that. And they literally talk about the fact that he's gut punched. Somebody said this in the comment. Why would that be a gut punch? We've been telling them this forever. literally saying that he built his career on not paying contractors. He praises union busters, and you're surprised by this? Come on. Really?
I can't
Sorry.
I don't know how
Not
anyone
sorry.
could be shocked. You could do some basic research. Like, it's unbelievable that you think Trump helps unions. By the way, JD Vance just sent me a donation. If you would like to send a tip and have a message read on the show, my Cash App and Venmo is a girl has no name. JD Vance says, for Elon won't let me talk to Trump. Any suggestions? No, JD, I think Elon is in fact the vice president now, and I think you are SOL, as they
Agreed.
say. That's funny. These are funny.
That's
Whoever
funny.
is sending these, so funny. I love this.
I'd like to.
Oh my gosh, you're not even going to believe
Thank you,
this. At
Robin.
first, for a second, I was like, "What is this?" I couldn't remember what it was. You guys, guess who? Guess who popped up at Mar-a-Lago last night?
Ooh.
I mean, you could guess. Mark Meadows and his wife.
Oh my gosh.
I know, Mark Meadows. Aren't you indicted? And don't you have some things? Shouldn't you be in hiding? No, he's now getting standing ovations at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. I know. Next thing we know, Mark Meadows is going to be in this administration. Yeah, he popped up. Someone caught him on camera, posted it on the internet.
Have a good time.
It's the ring.
Look at this guy. This guy has it made up.
Gross.
Kiss the ring.
Yeah, and Mark Meadows
Unreal.
never would have showed his face again if Trump didn't win. He would have never been seen around him. Now all of a sudden he's a hero again. It just makes me so upset. Well, we are
That is
in.
unreal.
Oh, it's about to get much more real and much more awful. This is. I laugh so you don't cry. If you're wondering why I'm laughing, it's because this is how I'm going to have to deal with this now. So you're like, why are you laughing? This isn't funny. I have to laugh or I will start crying. So that's what's going on. So there was a huge incident on Capitol Hill yesterday. I wish I was kidding. Nancy Mace. Do I need to say it anymore? Nancy Mace, who has posted on Twitter, because I love to dead name X, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I think there was a count that she at one period, like in 3 days, she posted like 300 something times on Twitter about which bathrooms people were in on Capitol Hill. And yesterday was no exception. So Nancy Mace, this is an actual copy. It says, per a source on the House GOP comms listserv. So these are people who are on the GOP communications group email list on Capitol Hill.
Email distribution list.
Yeah, on the email distribution. Nancy Mace starts emailing everyone on Capitol Hill, like in Congress, asking if anyone has a bullhorn. Wow. What would Nancy Mace need on Capitol Hill yesterday with a megaphone, you ask? Oh, it's not good. Yeah, so Nancy Mace starts sending out these emails and everyone's posting them, be like, oh my God, Nancy Mace is looking for a megaphone. She's about to do something nuts. Oh, it's worse than you even think. So this guy works for Fox and they post, it appears Nancy Mace is now in possession of a bullhorn. Nancy Mace finds a bullhorn. You ask, where is she? That doesn't necessarily look like Capitol Hill. Okay, so, oh God, I don't like this. I don't even like having to talk about this. So yesterday, people from the trans community, representatives of the trans community, including Chelsea
Thank you guys
Manning.
for 250K. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you guys so much. Keep tapping the screen. It's much appreciated. So people, protesters from the trans community showed up on Capitol Hill to protest the bathroom ban. Okay. 15 of them, about half, that's what I've read from I read 3 different articles about it. About half of them were zip tied and arrested. And that's why Nancy Mace was looking for that megaphone to go torment them. So I'm just going to tell you in advance what she did. She basically mocked them while they're being zip tied and arrested, and then followed them to the Capitol Police Station and read them their Miranda rights with a megaphone outside.
That's not abnormal at all.
Yeah.
Taxpayer dollars.
Yeah. By the way, our tax dollars are paying for Nancy Mace to do this. I just want to point this out. Nancy Mace, for the rest of our lives, will be paying for her pension. Meanwhile, like, they're going to cut Social Security, but we'll be paying for the rest of our lives for Nancy Mace
And her
to do this kind of BS. I just pointing it out.
And her health care, police.
Yes, and the health care none of the rest of us have.
Exactly.
So just prepare. Oh, and this video, by the way, all of the stuff you're seeing, all of this is in the outline. If you would like to join the Discord, I put these in the live sources section. Every article, every clip that we're going through, you can have access to use for content or throw in your MAGA family's face. That's what I'd like to do. Just message. This is my TikTok business account, Feliz Navidad Live. Just message and ask for a link to the Discord, and you can have all of the links to this stuff too. So again, this is from the Washington Post article I just showed you a screenshot of. This is the actual protest going on.
Speaker Johnson, Nancy Mace! Speaker Johnson, Nancy Mace! Our agendas are no debate! Our agendas are no debate! Democrats, throw a sign! Trans lives are on the line! Democrats, throw a sign! Trans lives are on the line! Trans rights are under attack! What do we do? End the fight back! Trans rights are under attack! What do we do? End the fight back! Trans rights are under attack! What do we do? End the fight back! We are the people! We are the people! Mighty, mighty people! Mighty, mighty people! Fighting for justice! Fighting for justice!
Why don't they censure Nancy Mace? I mean, they could.
Who's going to do it?
Anyone can. I mean, it's not like you can't. Anyone can censor anyone, but should we be wasting time censoring people? I mean, anyways, I just wanted to read this. This is because I said Chelsea Manning was there. If you don't know who Chelsea Manning was, remember Chelsea Manning was involved in that intelligence leak and was
naval officer or something.
Yeah, naval or was it naval? I couldn't remember, so I didn't say what part of the military because I couldn't remember. But involved in a documents leak. I just wanted to read like some of the quote. And Raquel Willis is the co-founder of the group that was protesting, and just what they said in the article is. Here, let me make it bigger so everyone can see. Everyone deserves to use the restroom without fear of discrimination or violence. Trans folk are no different. We deserve dignity and respect, and we will fight until we get it. In the 2024 election, trans folks were left to fend for ourselves after the nearly $200 million of attack ads. And both, just to be clear, like one of the things Fax and I have really bonded over is we both used to work in marketing and advertising, right? Like, my job was to reverse engineer thoughts into people's head. If you have $200 million to give me, you can tell me, make everyone want to eliminate penguins from the earth. And I can. You'd say that would never happen. No, if you give me $200 million, I will make it happen. You can reverse engineer any type of thought into anyone's head for $200 million. And it's even more than $200 million. I read somewhere it was $270 million. And I live in a swing state. And I can tell you every commercial that you saw, if you were on TV, it was Kamala is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. I will never forget that. It is emblazoned in my head. And that's what they are talking about. And that's what people think they're voting for. And I just want to point out, because I am someone who enjoys data, there is no statistical correlation between the trans community using the bathroom of the gender they identify with and crime. Just to be clear, have there been isolated incidences of crime? Sure. But is there a statistical correlation? Absolutely not. Same thing with the migrant crime wave. There is no statistical correlation between immigration and crime. As a matter of fact, if you want to be safer, then move to a neighborhood of immigrants. Immigrants are 30% less likely to be incarcerated than white males in this country. So those are the facts. Now, what does the data tell us? Oh, because there are studies about the trans community. And the studies are, and I'm talking about trans children now, that when trans children are legislated against and they're no longer allowed to go in the bathroom that aligns with their gender identity, they're 1.25 or 1.25 times more likely to be SA'd or to be physically assaulted. And that's just one group. And I can't, and then trans women is like 3.25 more times likely. Like what we do have data on is that trans people are more likely to be discriminated against when there is a bathroom ban in place and they are subjected to it than trans children that are not subjected to these bathroom bans. That we have data on.
Right. And of course, our fair and balanced and open-minded Supreme Court is very likely going to uphold the Tennessee ruling regarding gender affirming care for minors and puberty blockers.
Before I just want to say trigger warning.
Sure.
Just trigger warning, because we're going to see something that's disgusting. So I'm going to show you Nancy Mason, her stupid megaphone. But prior to that, she posted this yesterday on Twitter. And I'm not going to dignify. I try not to go to her Twitter if I can help it. But Maxwell Frost, our first Gen Z Congress member, guys, tap the screen, tap. Our first Gen Z Congress member posted this. This is what Nancy Mace had the nerve to tweet yesterday. I'm not going to read it, but it's a disgusting slur.
Oh my God.
The blank came, they saw, and they did not conquer during their protest. She's mocking the trans community for being arrested for fighting for equal rights. I can't even. This woman is disgusting. So anyways, here's a clip of Nancy Mace doing what I said she did outside the Capitol Police Station, reading the people who were arrested their rights.
So some tranny protesters showed up at the Capitol today to protest my bathroom bill, but they got arrested. Poor things. So I have a message for the protesters who got arrested. You ready? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to speak to an attorney. Be present during any question. If you cannot afford an attorney. So some tranny protesters showed up.
This is Nancy Mace. She is, and then now we're going to get into the hypocrisy.
F1 in the chat, you guys, just in case. F1 in the chat. We love the TikTok shop.
So now I want to get into the hypocrisy of who Nancy Mace is. So, right, she did this yesterday. Do you know what she did the night before? You're not even going to believe it. This stuff is not even real. Nancy Mace the night before was at a fundraiser for the Log Cabin Republicans. You know who they are? They are the LGBTQIA group, the LGBTQIA Republicans. She was there supporting them. Notice the T for trans community. She attended their Christmas party. This is her. This is her at the Log Cabin Republicans, the LGBTQIA faction of the Republican Party. The night before doing this, she is rubbing shoulders with people, supporting them.
Unreal.
Why did they let her in? Because they're all hypocrites anyways. To be in the Republican Party and be saying, oh, I'm part of the LGBTQIA, where the Republican Party is bringing hundreds of pieces of legislation every single Congress to take my rights away, is abject hypocrisy. Like, I don't know.
Roaches for raid, right? Roaches for raid.
And I just wanted to show you this because that's what this is. This is a screenshot of the Log Cabin Republicans' mission, just to clarify, which does very clearly say legislative protection for LGBTQ people in the workplace, where Nancy Mace has brought restrictions to take the rights of the trans community, ensuring that no one can be fired on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity, right? I mean, this is real life. The night before, she's at the Christmas party You can't make this stuff up, and the hypocrisy gets worse. So just prepare yourself for that. So I just want to remind
it's
you
the fact that she feels so. The issue now, obviously, before we get to this, it's just because of what's happened with the election. It's people like her and her hateful rhetoric, rooted in hypocrisy. They just feel emboldened. They can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, and then they'll turn their head and they'll take money and they'll take money from donors and they won't question it. And it's disturbing.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, it's not a phone call. It's in TikTok Studio. There's this security thing to make sure you're not a bot. It's one of those puzzle pieces.
The puzzle pieces.
You have to move across the screen and match up. Yeah, don't worry. The live's not shutting down. I did it.
No, I'm done.
Used to miss them
it's just the
all
hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is the point.
No, and let's go further into the hypocrisy of Nancy Mace, because I don't think people, and I'm not going to tell you what I do know about her from our past, because it's not my place to say, but if I could say what I know, you would die from how hypocritical she is. But let's just go back to 2021. When Nancy Mace, there are articles you could look up. It's called like Nancy Mace, a Republican caucus of one. She was positioning herself. She's from the low country, Charleston, South Carolina, right? And she said, I am the most moderate of the moderate Republicans. I believe in non-discrimination for the LGBTQIA. She co-authored a transgender rights bill in 2021 in the House. She was the most outspoken person for Republican for trans rights. This is who she was. So if you're wondering what has happened to her, Donald Trump said if she didn't get on board with the MAGA agenda, that they would primary her. And now she has a whole new personality. She was fiercely protective of the LGBTQIA. I want to say something very similar to what I was going to imply about Nick Fuentes, but I won't.
It's the same thing. Do you remember when she did the same thing on that interview with Stephanopoulos when he was?
You can find clips after clips after clips. There are clips of her being like, in 2020 the Pride Parade was canceled in the Low Country because of COVID, but 2021 the Pride Parade's gonna be amazing. We're gonna protect LGBTQIA rights. Like, the hypocrisy knows no bounds with this woman.
Yeah, she was given so much credit for her strength and standing up and talking about how she was sexually abused, right? And then she goes on this interview with Stephanopoulos and it's continues to support Trump even after the adjudication of him being a sexual predator. And she accused Stephanopoulos of shaming her. It's this hypocrisy, quest for power.
That's why ABC News is being sued by Trump, because of that interview. And because all George Stephanopoulos was saying was, hey, you're on here. You yourself are saying that you're a survivor of grape and that you support survivors of grape, but you are disparaging E. Jean Carroll and calling her a liar, another survivor of SA, right? Yeah. And you are propping up a man who essayed a woman, who was found to have essayed a woman, found liable for, and actually what Stephanopoulos said, because of the second appeal and what Judge Kaplan wrote in the second appeal, he said Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist by the definition that Kaplan wrote in the judgment in the second appeal. And you are saying you yourself are a survivor of grape and you support grape survivors, and you are trashing this woman.
Exactly. Hypocrisy. She's got a pattern.
No, for sure. And now this is her. Now she's doing this. Like, this is where we're at with Nancy Mace now. It's unbelievable. I just screenshotted it because this is the thing she co-sponsored. HR 1440, Fairness for All Act. Now she's banning the trans community from the bathroom of their gender identity. Like, I even screenshotted her stupid name because it's just like, remember this? Remember March 11, 2021, when you had an entirely different personality? I remember it, Nancy. I remember it. People don't forget. The internet has receipts. That's why I love this show. The people's receipts is the best thing that ever happened because we're not going to let people forget. The receipts are forever. This is Nancy Mace. This is an old 2021 post. I strongly support LGBTQIA rights. No one should be discriminated against. Religious liberty, gay rights, and what does that say? I'm sorry, I can't read that. Let me make it bigger. Transgender equality can all coexist. I'm also a constitutionalist. We have to ensure anti-discrimination laws don't violate religious freedom. The hypocrisy of that statement is ridiculous.
Well, again, that's just who she is. Doesn't matter. You taste power. It doesn't matter. You will ride the wind.
And I just want to point out, just like, and if you guys don't know this, Caitlyn Jenner is talking about running for governor. If Kamala Harris might run for governor of California after Newsom leaves, Caitlyn Jenner is considering running against her. And this is another example of Republican hypocrisy. If you don't know who Sophie Hutchins is, she's a beautiful trans woman who is always hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, right? And Patriot Takes, who I love, always is finding receipts, basically said Trump surrogate Sophia Hutchins, a trans woman wearing a red dress and striking poses in the Mar-a-Lago women's restroom. Don't tell Nancy Mace. It's like, Nancy, make it make sense. Can someone explain it to me, Republicans, why this is okay? But I love that song. Sorry, but it's just the point. This is the point is the hypocrisy. This is the Mar-a-Lago bathroom. But our first transgender legislator can't use the bathroom that aligns with her gender identity. Poor Sarah McBride. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Keep sharing the live, please. Tap, tap, tap. Share the live. Please gift our guest Fax. We love having him here today. That's his Cash App and Venmo. This is mine right here. Thank you so much. But yeah, I just had to tell that story because it's unbelievable. And now we can move on to Pete Hegseth and the next level of hypocrisy that was going on Capitol Hill yesterday that was unbelievable. And when Tommy Tuberville is your number one spokesperson, you might be in trouble. If this is some authoritarian SHIT, if I've ever heard it, he basically says it's not the Senate's job to vet Trump's cabinet. As a matter of fact, advise and consent is the literal job of the Senate. It's the literal job. And he's he's more speaking to Republicans in the Senate. And he's saying Trump vetted them. Actually, Trump didn't on purpose and admits that. One of the things, whether it's a lie or whether it's true, the story from Trump is that he didn't know any of that stuff about Pete Hegseth. And that he never disclosed it and Trump didn't look into it. But he's saying Trump vetted these people. It's not our jobs to ask questions. We just need to vote for them.
Let's be real. The Heritage Foundation provided the list. It didn't.
Of course. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second. But yeah, I mean, that's what's essentially being said.
Better and picker of people than Donald Trump.
Isn't that you're advising consent? That's your job.
Advising consent, but that's more the Democrats.
But don't you think both sides should do the vetting?
Well, yeah, to some degree. I mean, but we have to be convinced. I mean, they should do all the background work. They should go after our nominees. I've not heard very little from the left. Donald Trump did all the vetting they needed to do on Pete Hegseth, and I just can't believe we even have people on our side that are saying, well, I've got to look at this, got to look at that. What they're doing is they're throwing rocks at Donald Trump. They're not throwing them at Pete Hegseth. They're throwing them at Donald Trump because they're saying, well, we don't believe you did the right vetting and we don't believe he can do the job. Wait a minute. That's not our job to do that. That's the Democrats.
So hold on a second. So let me get this straight.
Not true.
Let me get this straight. So a sitting senator doesn't know his job is advising consent, which means that everybody that comes across his committee is subjected to the same advice and consent. And in his mind, just because it was a Donald Trump appointee, it's up to the Democrats. So funny that it's the Republicans in the House that voted to not release the ethics report investigation into Congressman Matt Gaetz. But yeah, it's the Democrats' fault. Crazy.
Well, don't make sense. And I
That's
saw
right. What
some
am I
people in
doing?
the
What was I
comments being
thinking,
like, what's
Felice?
he talking about? Yeah. Don't follow lines of logic. They don't want that. Now,
Good
what's
point.
going on is that, Pete Hegseth was credibly accused of rape, right?
Yeah.
In 2017. And I'm not by someone like me, a liberal woman who talks too much and is asking for it. I'm talking about at a Republican conference in a very upscale, rich white neighborhood, but a woman who worked for a Republican non-governmental organization, who's Christian, who's married, whose husband was waiting for her to come back to the hotel room and was very confused when she didn't. And the police report is vile to read. I can tell you that. And here's the best part. That wasn't even the first person he tried to do that to that day. The reason it ended up being that woman who they're now shaming and calling unstable and a liar and saying that they're going to sue her for defamation, right? What she was doing was getting messages from other women who were at a conference party, and they were saying, we need you to come down here and be a crotch blocker. What does that mean? Pete Hegseth was allegedly, and this is in the police report, these women were interviewed and said, yeah, he was intoxicated. He wouldn't stop touching our legs and trying to lure us back to his hotel room. We told her, asked her to come help us get him away from us. She came and ran interference. She took him outside. They had an altercation, which was reported by other people in the hotel who were staying there and by the security, where she's like, hey, you need to leave women alone. And then that's what you get for being a good person. Because
do you have Cynthia Lumnis's quote as well, the Republican from Wyoming, on the same hearing. Do you have that? It's just real quick.
On what hearing? I don't think so.
It's from the same conversation. Remember, Pete Hegseth went to the Hill to try to gain favor with Republican senators in particular. So Cynthia Lumnis, again, Cynthia Lummis from Wyoming, called the allegations, quote, a side issue, while lauding Hegseth's ability to lead the Defense Department. She also said, again, they're throwing disparaging remarks at someone who has earned a great deal of credibility. Are soldiers sometimes wild childs? Yeah, that can happen.
No, I mean, hey, it's way worse than just that quote. I do have some clips of people gaslighting her, but if you saw, and yesterday on the People's Receipts, Pete Hegseth, we went through the interview he did with Megyn Kelly, and Megyn Kelly, out of her own mouth, was like, oh, they're Kavanaughing you. Do you know what that means? Kavanaugh was credibly accused of rape by a woman. Right. And you know what they did to her? She showed up to that confirmation hearing and told her story. They did the oldest trick in the patriarchal manual. Oh, she wanted it. Oh, she's unstable. She's crazy. She just wanted to have sex with someone who is rich. Oh, can't trust her.
Right.
They completely, and now they're they're going to do it to this woman. The first story was, and by the way, guess who Pete Hegseth's lawyer is? It's Trump's lawyer from the Mar-a-Lago docs case, Timothy Parlatore. And first Timothy Parlatore, I mean, there's been a number of stories. It's the weirdest thing, because the first story was that Pete was intoxicated and she raped him. Now, as someone who's been the victim of SA, right, both as a child and as an adult, I don't know about you, but when I'm SA'd, I do not pay money to the person who SA'd me and then make them sign something saying they will never talk about it. Do you?
Yeah, Restless Dreamers.
If you're great,
Dreamers comments great. They said, and you forgot the quote. Oh, she decided to come forward now. Exactly. That's exactly. They're going to add that to the list of things.
They're not even saying that. What they're saying today, which I'll get to it, you'll see it. They're like, I don't hear anyone coming forward. That's because Timothy Parlatore said, if you come forward, we will sue you for defamation and breach of contract. But now it's changed. That's what he's been saying for the last week. And I'll show you the clip. He changed his story yesterday and it's even worse. But don't worry, we're going on a journey. I just want to show you this. This is Charlie Kirk, who's allegedly, I live in Arizona. He lives in Phoenix. He's talking about running for governor of Arizona. Guys, please keep tapping the screen. Tap, tap, tap. Charlie Kirk said, told Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham are trying to end Pete Hegseth. This is a direct attempt to undermine the president and his voters. Pete Hegseth is the red line. If you vote against him, primaries will ensue. This is what the threat is with Republicans. We have the richest man in the world in the White House with Donald Trump. He has the most well-funded PAC. We finally saw the campaign finance reports. Elon Musk spent $277 getting Donald Trump elected.
$1 million. Yes.
I'm sorry, $277 million getting Donald Trump elected. And they're telling Republicans, you vote against Trump's picks, we're going to use that type of money to primary you, to put a Republican opponent against you and bury you with millions of dollars of ads. Your career, in Congress will be over.
Yeah, but they're looking out for us. Please.
Yeah,
out for us.
Totally. Republicans love women and children. Totally. Don't you guys know? Republicans, they really care about women and children, and they're Christians. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So this is Pete Hegseth yesterday on Capitol Hill.
Will you support the release of that whistleblower report for the concern?
It's very interesting what the press likes to dub a whistleblower report. Which some others might clarify as a email from a disgruntled employee, one might say.
So would you support the release of that?
You can convince Joni Ernst.
Again, this is different than being a Republican Christian married woman credibly accusing him of rape and him paying her off. This is a different incident. There's so many incidences. And there's more than one woman that was paid off and signed an NDA. The remaining Koch brother, billionaire, Republican, they had these, non-governmental organizations, Concerned Veterans for America. He was the head of it. And the other one, it's either like Freedom for Veterans or Veterans for Freedom. He ran these organizations into the ground. When they're saying whistleblower report, and he's like, it's a disgruntled employee. There are women who said that he created an environment of SA. He was allegedly several times physically, they had to carry his unconscious dead body weight out of events. Actually, hold on a second. I have these, I have all these, I have these all written down because this is the type of thing I love to have receipts. Let me just read to you guys some of the stuff that he allegedly did. This is from Concerned Veterans, workplace misconduct. These are the accusations from 2013 to 2016. Multiple instances required being carried out from events due to intoxication. Virginia Beach, Memorial Day 2014, totally sloshed, carried to room. Cleveland, June 2014, completely intoxicated in public. North Carolina, November 2014, passed out on top of female staff member in van. Washington, D.C., December 2014, carried to room at Christmas party. Strip club incident, took staff to S Club during Louisiana Senate runoff, they had to physically restrain him from getting on stage with the dancers. Female staff had to intervene with security. SA happened. Allegedly, someone was SA'd there. Pete divided female staff into two groups. There were the party girls and not party girls. Female staffer alleged attempted SA by male staff at this S Club. Organization paid settlement with NDA to this staffer. Second female staffer reported harassment but feared retaliation. Created hostile and intimidating work environment. Oh, it's Veterans for Freedom. Here's the issues at Veterans for Freedom. By 2009, he had, and this is forensic accounting. This is not something you can debate, right? And this is the stuff Trump would probably care about because Trump's a teetotaler. He does not like intoxication, right? Sorry, hold on. I scrolled past it. By 2009, he had to send out an email to donors saying that he had less than $1,000 in bank. They had $434,833 in unpaid bills, up to $75,000 in credit card debt, used donor funds for inappropriate expenses and trysts, required forensic accountant review, forced to merge with Military Families United for oversight because he was mismanaging the group so badly, compensation reduced to $5,000 a week for 30 minutes of work weekly. Must be nice. Only received $81 in total grants by 2012. Here's some additional documented incidents. May 29, 2015, repeatedly chanted "Unalive all Muslims" while intoxicated at hotel bar, urinated in front of hotel where CVA team, Concerned Veterans for America team stayed, used 1/3, because he's from Minnesota and used to work for the Republican Party there, used 1/3 of Minnesota PAC funds on parties rather than candidates, multiple admitted infidelities in first marriage, infidelities in second marriage, infidelities in third marriage, impregnated Fox producer while married to second wife, mother called him an abuser of women, has tattoos that caused, he wasn't allowed to protect Biden at his inauguration because he was feared to be a Christian nationalist / insurrectionist and was on a list, called gender diversity in the military garbage, published commentary questioning, and I'm not joking, this is real, published commentary questioning if unconscious rape victims can experience duress.
And yet Tommy Tuberville feels like that he shouldn't advise and consent on that pick.
Mm-hmm. And this is probably another really bad thing. He's told many stories about the 2017, the Republican woman credibly accusing him of rape. One of the things that turned out to be a lie that he said, one of the stories was, the reason they didn't bring charges was because they investigated her and it turned out that she had done this before, meaning was lying about other men doing this to her in the past. And this article was written in the New Yorker, and they, of course, did a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request with that police department and said, is that true? And they're like, no. They said the claim, and I quote, is spurious, meaning it is a effing lie. So that's that story. The next story was, like I said, that she raped him, which it's like, you're 6'3" and 200 something pounds. This is a tiny woman whose husband was staying with her in a hotel room, right? And who pays off their rapists and forces them to sign something saying they'll never talk about it? It's a very, as an SA victim, I've never done that. As Jake Tapper said yesterday, he's never paid anyone off. None of it makes any sense when you really get down to it. Sorry, I just thought I'd go through that because
I appreciate that. I mean, it's just proof, Felice, as we know, this is just not a red line, not a line in the sand for voters who vote, right? These days, right?
Yeah, it is beyond shameful. Absolutely beyond shameful. Thank you guys so much. Follow Facts, follow me. That's his Cash App and Venmo. This is mine. Please gift. Please tap the screen. Thank you for supporting the live. This is what Dan Goldman says yesterday, because Pete Hegseth's mom went on Fox and Friends yesterday to. Yeah. Should I play the email real quick? Should I play the email real quick? Because I want you guys to know what we are actually talking about, because it's ridiculous. Hold on, let me get it. So Pete Hegseth's mom, the New York Times got a hold of an email that she sent to her son. So after the 2017 rape, being credibly accused of rape, and at the same time, a little bit later, he's cheating on his second wife. He impregnates his Fox News producer, who's now, I think, his third or fourth wife. It's hard to keep it straight. Third wife, something like that. And his mom sends him an email. This is what we call in research, because I used to be a historical researcher in college, it's called a primary source. So
John, thank you for the donation on Cash App. Really appreciate you, friend. You were in this morning's live. You thought it was great. Thanks for being there. Appreciate you. Sorry, please.
Oh no, go. That's amazing. W. John, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the email. I just want to be clear. She unequivocally wrote this email and doesn't deny it, but did this whole disgusting email or interview on Fox and Friends being like, the media is blackmailing and attacking me. To be clear, what they did was they called her and they said, hey, we have this email you wrote. Do you have a comment? Is there any extra context? Because this was 7 years ago. Like meaning, hey, because I said this when in my 20s, Pete Hegseth has been, he was in war, active combat, I think multiple times. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. In my 20s, I self-medicated. I had a bad problem with drinking, right? And that's what accountability looks like. You say, hey, like I had never gotten therapy. I didn't understand I had PTSD and other mental health problems. And I decided to self-medicate by drinking. And then I went to like 6 years of therapy and I went to literally PTSD camp, intensive outpatient therapy, and learn a set of skills to manage it. Like that's the context they're asking about. Like, hey, it's been 7 years. If something's changed, let us know. And she went on Fox and Friends and said that the New York Times tried to blackmail her.
Penelope Hegseth sent to her son, Pete Hegseth, on April 30th, 2018. One sentence was redacted by the New York Times for privacy reasons. Son, I have tried to keep quiet about your character and behavior, but after listening to the way you made Samantha feel today, I cannot stay silent. And as a woman and your mother, I feel I must speak out. You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth. And I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man, and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth. I am not a saint, far from it, so don't throw that in my face. But your abuse over the years to women, dishonesty, sleeping around, betrayal.
You hear how she's heading off his narcissistic rebuttals in the email? She's like, hey, I'm no saint in my past. Don't throw it in my face. This is someone who his mother is used to being gaslighted. She's heading off his gaslighting in advance in an email.
Debasing, belittling, needs to be called out. Sam is a good mother and a good person, under the circumstances that you created. And I know deep down you know that. For you to try to label her as unstable for your own advantage is despicable and abusive. Is there any sense of decency left in you? She did not act.
Hear that? For you to label her unstable, that's exactly what he's doing to the woman who accused him of rape in 2017. Oh, she's unstable. This is a Republican Christian married woman whose husband was in the hotel room wondering where she was. And she's unstable. The oldest trick in the patriarchal handbook. Oh, a woman is trying to say something that you don't like. Just call her crazy.
Ask for or deserve any of what.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I was going to say, I'm going to say that just makes it easy. They can justify it because the script's the same. Call her easy, call her unstable, call her angry, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
Any sense of decency left in you, she did not ask for or deserve any of what has come to her by your hand. Neither did Meredith. I know you think this is one big competition, and that we have taken her side. Bunk, we are on the side of good, and that is not you. Go ahead and call me self-righteous. I don't care. Don't you dare run to her and cry foul that we shared with us. That's what babies do. It's time for someone, I wish it was a strong man, to stand up to your abusive behavior and call it out, especially against women. We still love you, but we are broken by your behavior and lack of character. I don't want to write emails like this, and never thought I would. If it damages our relationship further, then so be it, but at least I have said my piece. Redacted. And yes, we are praying for you, and you don't deserve to know how we are praying, so skip the snarky reply. I don't want an answer to
skip the gaslighting.
This. I don't want to debate with you. You twist and abuse everything I say anyway. But on behalf of all the women, and I know it's many you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself, Mom.
So again, that That is what she, and again, so she accused the New York Times of blackmailing her and lying. You can't lie about a primary source. They just published the email you sent, Mom. And they said to you, hey, if anything has changed in the 7 years and you want to comment on that, and that was why I told you about my own history. Because I would say, yeah, I was in therapy for 6 years. I went to intensive outpatient therapy for PTSD. I've changed. That's the context. They're giving you a chance to say what has changed. And she went on Fox and Friends and said that the New York Times is basically blackmailing her. This is where we're at now. The MAGA handbook of dealing with the media.
And then her spin control to go on to Fox and try to justify or defend her son. Again, hypocrisy. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Let's get, please, that number should be easily over 400K. 700 people in here. You don't want me to start singing. That will certainly crash the live.
That's hilarious. Okay, so now we are back to where we were. I just want you guys to hear that email. So Dan Goldman said, and I thought this was really good. I love Dan Goldman. Hegseth's mom went on TV to make a self-serving correction that did nothing to discredit her email, but instead argued that he's changed in the last 7 years and is now not an abuser of women. We're supposed to disbelieve a private email and believe a staged TV interview.
Exactly. Well, Dan Goldman.
Yeah, I'm going to always believe the primary source myself. That's what you do in real research. Hegseth also admitted to Megyn Kelly that he cheated on all 3 of his wives. Not that anybody cares about that stuff anymore, but I thought it was worth noting.
This is, and sadly, and this is one of those examples, right, where in the people, MAGA in particular, who'll defend this, who obviously don't see SA as a line, will say, well, his mother went on TV. She said he's changed. Can't you give anybody credit for changing? Not understanding exactly what Dan Goldman said. A private email calling out that behavior compared to a staged public event designed for spin control.
Oh, and it was so obvious. It was the MAGA playbook of spin control. Blame the media. Blame the left. Say you're a victim. It was the exact playbook. And here's some more from him, the man himself.
Support the release of
that. You can convince Joni Ernst
you on the issue of alcohol. Oh, we've had great conversations about who I am and what I believe, and frankly, the man I am today. Because of my faith in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and my incredible wife, Jenny, right here. I'm a different man than I was years ago.
That's his third wife that was impregnated while he was married to his second wife. That's his Fox News producer.
That's a redemption story that I think a lot of Americans appreciate, and I know from fellow vets that I've spent time with, they resonate with that as well. You fight, you go do tough things in tough places on behalf of your country. And sometimes that changes you a little bit. And by the grace of God and my Lord and Savior, I had an opportunity to come on up out of it and do great things with great veterans organizations that fought for vets, that fought for...
I read you what he did at those veterans organizations. I read you the list of what he did. And also, I just want to point out, yesterday on the Megyn Kelly show, he said, no one's ever told me I had a problem with alcohol. I don't have a problem with alcohol. And then the reason he's now telling a different story is because people pulled up all of these clips about him talking about his problem with alcohol in his books, on podcasts. And so now he's saying this because yesterday it was literally an entirely different story.
The Christian Nationals cult will just say, well, see, he's repent. You double down on Jesus. You tokenize Jesus to justify the things that you've done. As long as he says that, my Lord and Savior, as long as you qualify it with that statement, then it's totally fine, right? Totally fine.
You know what? Jesus hung out with SEX workers. Right?
Totally.
Like Mary Magdalene was an SES worker. Jesus defended women. When in the New Testament does it say that it's okay to SA women? Right, to be an adjudicated rapist, to shame women.
That's right.
These are the alleged Christians in our country. They say we're going to protect women whether they like it or not.
Exactly. And Jesus was a brown-skinned socialist too.
Amen.
Keep that in mind.
support the release
Do
of
you
that
think you can
information?
convince
have
Joni
pressed you
Ernst?
on the issue of alcohol? No, we've had great conversations about who I am and what I believe, and frankly, the man I am today, because of my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus.
I just wanted to play that because what they just asked me about was Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst is a senator from Iowa whose claim to fame, right? She was a high-ranking woman in the military who her claim to fame and what she, in terms of meaningful legislation, her and Senator Gillibrand, I believe, passed legislation to help SA victims. Because there is a pervasive problem in the military of women being SA'd. A pervasive problem. And the problem was if women tried to report, they'd have to report to their superior officer and they would be retaliated against. Oftentimes SA'd again. Nobody would report in fear of something horrific happening. So Joni Ernst, a Republican senator, and Gillibrand passed legislation to make an independent investigator that women could report to stay away from the chain of command so they wouldn't be retaliated against.
Right. Do you remember when knitting cult lady Daniela joined us for our live and she was talking about just that. Talking about just that, literally, about how it's just become an accepted culture almost.
And Joni Ernst is going to betray her whole legacy if she votes for him. I just want to be clear. And they offered her one of these fake positions in the Doge caucus, and she accepted it. They're trying to bribe her into pushing him through.
Of course.
And I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you.
You don't answer to the American people who are going to be paying your salary? That's very strange. That's very strange. I find that very strange.
That camera at
all. Not
all.
a cult, though, please.
No, but this is a narcissist you're hearing talk. You know what in my opinion, as someone raised by a malignant narcissist, this is a narcissist behavior that we are witnessing. This man is not sorry. He takes no accountability. He doesn't know how to take accountability.
Called out by his own
Trump,
mother in that email.
Who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee, and I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
This man is gross. This man is gross. And now I just want to prepare you. Okay, this is what I want to show you. First of all, look at this chyron. Do you see this? They're accusing, this is what they're trying to do to combat the PXF stuff. They're accusing the left of trying to normalize SEX violence. What? You guys have, Trump is literally an adjudicated rapist. That's SEX violence, right? He is trying to install people. First, it was someone credibly accused of child trafficking. Now it's this guy who, again, it's not a liberal woman. We're not to be believed. We're asking for it. It was a Christian Republican married woman who credibly accused this man of rape, who he then paid off and had sign an NDA so she couldn't speak. And they are saying that we're normalizing SEX violence.
Calls are always coming from inside the house.
Yeah, so I'll just play the clip, but it's ridiculous.
So important as we hear everybody talking about the needs to protect the rights of sex workers. I mean, that's just normalizing, sex work, and you hear a lot of politicians on the left do that. That's not really helping them. That's just keeping them in a business that degrades them. But I want.
Again, I just want to point out that data says otherwise, because I absolutely do support SEX work. That is real socialism. You own your own means of production. If women can do anything they want with their bodies. And I just wanted to show you a study. There are hundreds of studies on this, by the way, because the most successful countries decriminalize SEX work. And do you know what happens? it makes the government money, not when you actually, like, here's an example. The Lancet has published research that estimates decriminalizing sex work would lead to a 33% reduction in HIV transmission, which would save $500,000 in health costs per person who avoided the disease over the average lifetime. The government ends up paying for this stuff. We end up paying for this stuff. When we decriminalize and we regulate the sex industry, us, the American taxpayers, save millions of dollars. I thought the Republicans wanted to save money.
Of course not.
Well, I thought that's what they wanted. I thought that's what the Doge caucus was going to do, was save everyone some money. I just had to say that. Now, here's Joni Ernst yesterday. This is the woman I was talking about, whose legacy is passing meaningful legislation to help women more safely report SA and abuse in the military. This is the senator from Iowa that they need to pull over the line.
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down with Pete and have that conversation with him yesterday. So again, all I will say at this time is that we did have a very thorough discussion over a number of those issues, and the vetting will continue, I am certain, through the next month or so until we approach that hearing date.
And he has
okay.
Thank you so much, Mel, for the Cash App tip. I appreciate it. There's not a message, but you have a very strong jawline, is what I will say.
It's true.
I'm just saying the truth. So this is good, because when Joni Ernst accepted that Department of Government Efficiency caucus position, I was like, oh my God, they really bought her. Like, she is going to betray everything she believes in. She still might. See,
I don't think it's that good. I mean, I think it
is because she was closer last week. She was inching towards saying yes.
I guess what I'm saying, based on the fact that she was part of that legislation, historic legislation to protect women who serve our country, her along with Christian Gillibrand, bipartisan, if that was true, and she should be like, he's got to prove to me that he did not abuse these women. It's senator speak. It's literally, she created a window for herself to be able to support him.
Let me tell you, as someone who's on Twitter all day long, because I've got to keep an eye on MAGA, right? I also have a complete alter personality on True Social. I have a lot of followers. I have like a whole other influencer on True Social. Like they love me. Anyways. So as someone who's always following or always knows what's going on what MAGA dragged her all day yesterday. They saw that comment and they took it as, I thought she was on our side, F her. And if she wanted to mitigate it, she would have said something, because she was being harassed. She still is being harassed on X, on True Social. And so that's what I'm saying. And she has not said anything else. She's holding strong. And this is how mad they are. MAGA was fuming at Ernst all day on social media. And fuming, with many calling for Carrie Lake, which, I'm sorry, this is selfish of me, but as someone who lives in Arizona, we've had to put up with Carrie Lake. She still thinks she's the governor. Now she still hasn't conceded the Senate race that she lost. Like, they want Carrie Lake to return to her home state of Iowa and primary Joni Ernst, which they're not going to vote for Carrie Lake in Iowa. And I'm like, do it, Carrie. Please leave Arizona. No offense.
Get out.
We've done our time. Arizona has done our time with Carrie. Iowa can have Carrie now.
She's like a bad penny. Keeps coming back.
Like, we have done our full amount of time with her. Our sentence is over. Iowa, you can have her now. Hey, Joanna.
That's right.
Hey. Still loving all the facts. The receipts are receiving. The taps are tapping. But I feel like, me personally, in my spirit, that we can do a little bit better. I'm going to give y'all a little gentle nudge here. Let's get to 400K by, I'll give y'all a whole 17 minutes. That's not bad at all. We can get there. Also, Barb's in the chat. I see your opposition. If you want to come up and voice your opinions, don't be scared. Hop in the box instead of just yapping in the chat. Come on and yap in the box, love. We got you. We don't bite, like I said the first time. But yeah, y'all keep tapping, keep sharing, keep liking, keep gifting facts. We love having him here. He's always full of wonderful knowledge. You're so welcome. Thank you for being an accomplice.
Damn straight.
Amen.
Traitor to the patriarchy.
Amen. I love that you said that, Joanna. That's awesome. So true. Oh, and now comes to one of our grossest clips of the day. So everyone, trigger warning, prepare yourself. So you remember I told you, like, somehow Pete Hegseth ended up with Trump's old lawyer? Like, who was Timothy Parlatore was Trump's lawyer in the Mar-a-Lago docs case. And he's been both in articles when the media asked him for a comment, he's saying the grossest things, like basically saying, at first he said if she did any interviews, the woman in 2017 who credibly accused Pete Hegseth, the Republican Christian married woman who worked for a non-governmental Republican organization, they basically said if she does any interviews, if she talks, we're going to sue her for defamation or for breach of contract. But now they're saying, because I said the story flipped and I said, I'll show you a clip of what they're doing to her now. Now they're saying you breached the NDA. It's your fault the police report got out. They're blaming her because I can't remember who first got a hold of this police report. It might have been the Washington Post, but they basically, it was someone that woman knew sent it to a media outlet. Let's just say that. So now they're saying you breached your NDA, and because of that, if he doesn't become Secretary of Defense, we're suing you for defamation.
Yeah, no threats there at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened. Remember the stuff I said that he claimed. First, he claimed, the reason they didn't bring charges is because police investigated and she had done this before. This is just she always does this to men. She makes up that she was raped. And they asked that police department, they're like, no, that's not true. Then he said that he was intoxicated, which was true, and she raped him. Right? Yeah. And that's what I do. When I was raped, I gave my attacker money. I gave them a bag of I paid them money and said, here you go. And to make sure you never get caught, sign this NDA. That's what I did with my personal attack. I can't speak for everyone. I guess, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they're trying to scare her into silence, essentially. And this is probably the grossest moment of Timothy Parlatore's already gross career.
It was settled in an agreement with this woman in 2017. Yesterday, when you were talking to Jay Tapper, you said that you believed it's extortion. But of course, as you know, extortion is also a crime. So if you felt that it was extortion, why not go to the police at the time?
Well, it was a decision that we made, and the email from the attorney. It was something that I don't know if it quite rises to the level of a criminal extortion that the police would take it on. But I think it's
so it's not extortion. Okay, just making sure we're clear on that. Yeah,
there's no such thing as light criminality
under the California law for civil extortion, and it was something that we were considering at the time. And quite frankly, with the violation,
you can bring a lawsuit against a banana.
Of the agreement. If he is not confirmed as a Secretary of Defense, we may still bring a civil extortion claim against her.
So if he is not ultimately confirmed because of these allegations, you may take legal action against the person at the center of that agreement.
Absolutely. If the false claims of somebody that was part of an extortion that was then put out in violation of a settlement agreement ultimately causes him to lose his future employment opportunities, then yes, that is something that is worth bringing a lawsuit against her and her friend and potentially even the attorney for. Yes.
The friend that gave the police report to the media.
Right, doesn't matter.
This is what they did, by the way. This is the claim, as someone who read every single page of the court documents in the Stormy Daniels trial. This is exactly what they did to Stormy Daniels. This is the MAGA playbook. This is what they did. They said, yeah, Trump paid off Stormy, but she was extorting him through a lawyer. Does that sound familiar? This is exactly what they tried to do. And the jury of Donald Trump's peers who heard the evidence said what? Guilty. And that's what they're basically saying. Either you help us and lie, or you keep your mouth shut from here. And it doesn't actually, never mind. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't get Secretary of Defense, we're suing you.
It
Some people say that she should be.
Sorry. I was going to say it doesn't matter that he's unqualified to hold the position. Instead, it's if he doesn't get it, it's the woman who was assaulted's fault.
It's the unstable woman. Yeah.
Yeah, the crazy woman. Yeah, the one who can't make up her mind. Yeah, it's her. It's her fault.
Yeah, exactly. Makes perfect sense.
Released from that non-disclosure agreement that was part of the settlement agreement. Is there any consideration between you and Mr. Hegseth of doing that?
Well, so first of all, it's not a non-disclosure agreement is something where one party agrees not to disclose. This is a confidential settlement agreement that had confidentiality on both sides. That agreement has since been breached by her. And so as a result, I sent notice to her attorney that agreement is no longer has any force and effect. That's one of the reasons why I can talk about it here, because prior to that, the agreement prevented Mr. Hegseth from talking about her conduct. So there is no NDA to release her from. And if she wants to go and talk about it, she can do it. I mean, certainly she would do it at her own peril of a further defamation lawsuit. But and additionally,
well, that's news.
NDAs,
we didn't. People have been calling for her to be able to speak, and you're saying, I mean, you're his attorney. You're saying that from the agreement which you negotiated, that she can come out and speak on CNN or wherever she chooses.
Of course. However, if she doesn't tell the truth, if she repeats these false statements, then she will be subject to a defamation lawsuit. But no, she's well aware of that. Her attorney was well aware that because of the breach of the agreement, that is no longer in any force and effect. She is free to speak if she wants. I've heard people saying, we should release her so that she can testify before the committee. There is no such thing as an NDA that prohibits somebody from complying with a subpoena.
Okay, so you're saying that she could be.
That's not us.
You're saying she could be released. In terms of settlement agreement.
Like, I mean, how disgusting is that? These people are disgusting. This woman, do you understand, like, as a victim of SA, your life it changes you for the rest of your life. You're never okay again. She's in constant inner turmoil and torment about this. And she's being gaslit, lied about. First, he said she raped him, a 6'3", 200-something pound man, right? Like, then he said, like, can you imagine this is your life? Look what Stormy Daniels went through just trying to tell the truth. They ruin people's lives.
I mean, it's
victims' lives.
I was just going to say that it's the victim blaming, it's the victim shaming, it's the people that have been credibly accused numerous times are the ones that are innocent. They're the ones that are the victims, and not the people who've actually been assaulted. Well, I mean, the bully pulpit, the person about to become president again. Of course, we know his voters voted for him, and it wasn't a deal breaker. So why then would anybody else feel like why should we be surprised that anyone else is gaining support in the court of public opinion, right?
These are the Christians.
These are the Christians. Right?
These are the Christians.
States' rights, America.
States' rights. Praise the Lord. This is Kevin Kramer. Now, remember what you just heard here. Remember what you just heard. Now listen to what Senator Kevin Kramer says. This will make you sick.
The place. I've always loved the fact that as a face for peace through strength, Pete has a great one, because I always say that we talk a lot about deterrence. We talk a lot about nuclear deterrence, and we usually reference then some sort of a weapon system. But deterrence isn't just a weapon system; it's an attitude, it's a culture, it's a system that includes the leadership itself. Pete is all those things. Plus, he's a warrior's warrior. He's somebody that the rank and file military men and women can look to and go, finally, there's somebody at the helm that represents us, not just the guys with stars with stars on their shoulder, which I love them as well. Don't get me wrong. But Pete convinced me, and all of the accusations and allegations against him have convinced me that they're either not there or at least nobody's talking. And so,
Because they're making THREATs against her publicly. No one's talking. Where are all the people? She's trying. She's trying. She had someone give the police report to the media. She's trying. They are blackmailing her. Oh, where is it? I don't hear anyone saying anything. Can you imagine how this woman must feel?
And just his hypocrisy standing up there saying the men and women in the military will give their full-throated support to Pete Hegseth for being the new DOD director.
Well, did you hear at the beginning what I think is sickening? He's like, oh, Pete's strong. Deterrence is an attitude. That's what he's doing to that woman is deterrence.
Exactly.
That's exactly
all these dog whistles. All these dog whistles.
They're all deterring her. They're like, you show up, you go public. You think this is something? Just wait. You'll be bankrupt, and we're going to make it 10 times as bad. Like, I just can't even imagine. And this is the last thing, like, this is the last time I saw someone, this is, I'm just forgetting his name, but this is someone in Congress talking about, is it Kevin Kramer? I think it might be Kevin Kramer, or the last one.
I just sent you a text. I have to jump in about 5 minutes.
No, I know, me too. I have a hard stop, so I think this will be, this is the end of the Pete Hegseth. I have a hard stop at 3, or in 5 years' time. So yeah, let's just end at this. But this is, essentially, 2 days ago, I just want to say it looked like this was over for Pete. And after Trump saw this whole media charade of his mom calling the media blackmailers and everything, and Pete putting on this whole show, and he's back in the running, might just get this job. Listen to this.
And President Trump's standing by Pete, right? He absolutely is. He absolutely is. Pete is there and was put there to reform a place that badly needs reform. That's why President Trump nominated him. I can tell you what I'm hearing from the soldiers, what I'm hearing from the troops is a sigh of relief and cheering Pete on. And let me tell you what, Jesse, this is a building that failed an audit, not once, not twice, but 7 times of over $800 billion. And by the way,
he just pivots from there to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to point out that to the Republicans, all they do, they're just like, oh, he was credibly accused of mismanaging all these funds, being a rapist, putting women in horrible situations. But the Pentagon failed an audit, as if that's an answer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's cover. Again, it's cover. And then it leads right back into fanboying with Elon. Elon's our savior. Ignore everything else. Just a distraction, right, Felice?
The distraction is the point. And Trump doesn't care if this guy doesn't get through. He'll find someone else to carry water for him. This is just a distraction. I agree. Thank you so much for being here on Friday. It was so fun to do this. And we'll be back Monday morning. I really
appreciate it. Yeah, Monday morning. Let's connect over the weekend so we can talk. I have a couple of ideas I want to run by you, but thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. This is amazing. You guys should all appreciate the work that Felice puts in. If you've ever seen her outlines in person, it's quite something, and I give you tremendous credit for what you do. I really appreciate being here. It's been an honor.
I have a big brain. Thank you so much. Yeah, and the Fax and Felice Monday show, it's 8 a.m. Eastern, so hopefully you guys will join us then. It's a very interesting show full of lots of information and fun. The F&F show, exactly. I love an alliteration. Okay, so happy Friday, guys. We all get to sleep in, shut off politics, don't think for a while, for at least 24 hours, God knows. Anyways, guys, don't change for anyone, even a court order. I'll see you guys on Monday morning, 8 a.m. with Facts.
Before you leave, don't step in any cracks or any holes this weekend, please. Be safe out there.
I did fall down today. I was making the outline for this show and tripped and fell while people on the street laughed at me. This did happen.
Anyways, thank you very much. See you guys later.
Have a great day, you guys. Have a great Friday. Bye.